Yeah, there's a reason for all that clapping. There's a real good reason. Yeah. This panel put together today, everybody. Please, yeah, take a seat. Listen, this panel put together today is outstanding. I'm very, very excited. Just, you get those good vibes. You know when you're going to have a good show is when you have an amazing pre-show. And to be honest with you, these guys are all professionals. They are in the know, and they're here for you. Speaking of being there for you, these are the folks that have been coming to the channel and helping Mooch out. You guys are here for me, and I truly appreciate that. If you guys will look right above the description, you'll see that join button. If you don't mind hitting that, becoming part of the Mooch Maniac family members, it would mean the world to me. And trust me, I did mention a few things that are going on behind the scenes. There's going to be another show on this channel every week. We're going to be doing something new. I've got a lot of things coming within the next 2 weeks. It's not that long, guys. It's not that long. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We've waited 2 years. What's 2 more weeks? It's not much. But let me say this. I want to thank every single person that helps this channel grow one by one. And those people are the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Ben Link, Failed Pyromancer, Frostbite Slash, Zombilla Ice Cream, CustodsX, Hustle and Motivate, AceJunky, Two-Tone SB, Replicant, Damion, JWE316, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, Mr. Twister, All Around Gamer, TrueWiddy, DeathSkry, our major Mooch Maniacs, our newest one, by the way. Shout out to Smokes901, Bryant Carter, Tactical Gamer, DatGuySmitty, HumaCast, Ice Queen Gaming, The Wise Old Gamer, 4-Star Journal, Shaun Slamka, Brian B., a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, the great Marty Bison, Windingo Rex, Forkboy Gaming, MexJ88, Remarkable Knights, Rich Kreischer, Rated D Demonic, the great Percolator 9000, and our honorable mentions, Wraith The Emperor, we miss you, Darkside80, Director Productions, the great WilmyHood, and the forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. Guys, I see everybody kind of piling in. Please, everybody in the chat, everybody in the panel, tweet it out. Let them know we're live. Let them know it's Friday. Let them know CrossFire's happening. That being said, let me get to the panel. The one, the only, the Redmond defense lawyer, the Xbox defense lawyer himself. And let me tell you something. Here's something you might not know in law. But even lawyers have lawyers. And he's going to need one tonight. The Xbot 448. Xbot, how the hell are you doing tonight?
Yo, what's going on, people? It is great to be here, as usual, every week for Crossfire. I got to give a huge shout out into the world of Destiny 2 to all my hunters out there. I am a hunter main. We are going deep into Guardian games. We won the first day. We are dominating now. We are coming through a couple days in a row. And yo, shout out to the hunters out there. We are taking Guardian games by storm, brother.
Ah, that's outstanding. Thank you. Appreciate the update on that, Xbot.
Yeah, Mooch, you haven't been around.
I have not. I left the world of Destiny a while ago, and I'm just a little heartbroken, to be honest with you, that they're not going to do a Destiny 3. They're going to just keep doing these add-ons. I know that they keep bringing people up, but I can't catch up. I just can't catch up. I can't do it. I won't. All right, this being said, I want to say shout out to Night Ripper 7, who just became a Mooch Maniac family member. Night Ripper, thank you so much for being a part of the family. I truly appreciate that. But let me get to another panel member here. You guys know him. He's becoming a regular, and that's what Mooch intended from day one. The great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Brap. Brap, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here. It's Friday.
It's great.
Had a couple cervezas. Yeah, excited. It's going to be a great time. Looking forward to it.
It's going to be great. The great Sin, speaking of great, the great Sin Vendetta's in the chat. In the super chat, he says, Mooch, did Eric sign the exclusive podcast deal yet? Sin, what you don't realize is this is the wine and dine episode. I might have to rename it. But the great Sin Vendetta here.
I have not received a new contract, by the way.
Well, what's happening is that we've literally got my lawyer on a flight to see your lawyer. You don't realize it yet, but it's okay. By the time the show's over,
Mooch, do you need an extra lawyer? I have a few.
So good to have an Xbot around. Yes.
Crossfire.
The great Xbot. Well, speaking of that, let's just introduce him because the man himself is here, Eric Jackson, the voice of reason on the internet for all of us. He's not here for me. He's here for you. Eric, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you tonight?
Oh, man, I'm feeling good. Happy to be here. This panel, some of the best people around the community here tonight. This is awesome, man. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, man, that 4-star treatment, Mooch, I gotta appreciate it, man. You know how to treat a podcast.
I do what I can. I said it before the show. E wanted purple M&Ms and fresh cut fruit. He got it. He got what he wanted, and that's...
How come I feel like E's doing a bunch of the sweet talk before he tries to cut me down later on in the show? I don't know why, man.
No,
He's getting ready
I've
to
never cut you down, man. I've always had your back, bro.
Oh, it's so good. Great to have you here tonight, E. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
And listen, a lot of people give me a compliment, but the compliment that you're hearing on the sound tonight is going to come from this man himself. He's the man that helped me get audio straightened out, and he straightens a lot of people out when we get a little out of hand. The great Hustle and Motivates here. Hustle, it's fantastic to have you back on the show, buddy. How are you this evening?
It's fantastic to be here. Hey, I'm always humbled every time you invite me, and I always say that. But like, y'all gotta understand, like, I see a few people in the community, yourself, Big Cloud, just to name a couple. The Iron Lords, of course. We have a very special guest in the building as well. Brad. Everybody's kind of been, pushing me right along, and you guys have been so helpful and so kind and so courteous. I just want to say that I really appreciate the love and support, that comes my way, and I'm going to be putting out better and better content as the, time goes on. I should be streaming tonight around 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm doing CrossFire first.
Yes.
And I'll be streaming Ghost of Tsushima, the multiplayer with my people. So,
Nice.
Damn, I was going to guess MLB The Show on Xbox Game Pass. My bad.
That's next week, Xbox.
I'm sorry to say this, but if I ever have trouble getting to sleep, then I will cut that game on.
Oh, Hustle, you hurt my heart, man. What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Baseball is like the.
We're gonna. Listen, Hustle, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. That is one of the topics tonight, because I do want to get into that tonight, and it's gonna be a little later on in the show. But there is something about MLB that we're gonna have to bring up. So I'm kind of glad you got the audience a little warmed up for it. But I do have an interesting introduction here. This is new for the Mooch himself, new to the Crossfire podcast panel himself. One Bad Mother, OBM. Which OBM, you've got so many different slogans thanks to the great Brap here. I don't know if you're an insider. I'm not sure if you're just a gamer. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I know that you're very opinionated. OBM, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me on, Mooch. Looks like we got some great topics and a great panel today. I think the only way you could draw more attention with this panel and topics is if we were streaming from a hot tub. At least I think I learned that this week.
Are you related to Dreamcast guy? You sound like you could be his cousin or something. Man.
There's a little resemblance there, but I get the hot tub joke. I definitely get that. We'd have to have probably an entirely different panel for that to work out, OBM. But nonetheless, great point, buddy. Good to have you here tonight.
Yeah, I loaded up on some coffee. I'm ready in case I'm on the opposite end of the Dark Souls of food analogies. So let's go, Mooch.
Outstanding, buddy. Great to have you here. Speaking of new to the panel member, this gentleman is not new to anybody's ears. And a lot of people used to say, well, how's Mooch doing 2 shows at the same time? Well, we figured out how to do it. And middle-aged game guy, outstanding to finally have you on Crossfire tonight, buddy. Mag, as everybody knows you in the community. Buddy, you are outspoken. You're well-spoken. And your opinions are hysterical, buddy. Outstanding to have you. How are you this evening?
I am fantastic. Well, good evening, Mooch. Panel, chat, everybody. Guys, this is an absolute honor to be here. And let me just say something here. When I first discovered this whole YouTube situation, that there were gaming podcasts and videos, I didn't even know this existed. And I found it years ago. And the first people I found was Dealer Gaming. And then I went down the rabbit hole and I found this guy with an eagle and a Captain America shield. And he sounded just like me. And I'm going, who's this guy? And it was Mooch. And I never would have thought that 4 or 5 years later, whatever, here I am sitting with the legend himself. Guys, it is an absolute honor to be here. Guys, we got some great topics tonight. Let's get right into this show.
It's going to be a great show, Megan. Thank you so much for those compliments. I appreciate that. And listen, the man of the hour is here. Let me tell you something. It's very difficult to book this one guest. Let me tell you right now. So if you're an aspiring podcaster in the audience or you're listening later, let me tell you something. You might not get him on your show. He is very difficult to get. And let me tell you, I'm excited to have him here from the Iron Lords podcast. It airs every Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. The great Lord Sovereign. And Sav, before you even get a chance to say anything, I do want to let the audience know. I want to say thank you to Lord Sav, by the way. Sav, me and you were the first ones that kind of linked up that got Mooch to know the Iron Lords. So I want to say thank you to you for reaching out and doing all the great things that you do for me, yourself, and the community. But Sav, more importantly, it is outstanding to have you here tonight. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be here, man. It's been way too long.
Yes.
I started thinking about my early podcast appearances that I was on the Shop podcast not too long ago, and I'm just like, wait a minute, it's been like 2 years, and I would say it's about the same now.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, dude.
Yes,
it's been a minute. I mean, listen, thank you for all the things that you said about us and what we do. We try, man. We really do try. But I have to say, I have to tip the cap to you, man. When it's so funny because my wife, when I go to bed at night, I get a lot of messages coming through. And it's like bling, 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 bling. And my wife looks at me. She's like, "It's the girlfriend?" I'm like, "No, it's Mooch."
No, it's Mooch.
Yeah, it's Mooch. It's Mooch.
That's a compliment. I'll take it.
I'm like, it's Mooch. It's Mooch. So I know that, dude, you and Cog are like the hardest working dudes in the game. You are on top of every single piece of news. It's crazy. And then beyond that, I have to tip the cap because anytime someone posts something in the community where they're not doing great, something's bad happened to them, whatever, you are the first one there to give words of encouragement, words of help, whatever it is, you are the first one there. And that means a lot, brother. So again, thanks for having me. It has been way too long. I'm going to try to be much better about having these, being here at shorter intervals.
Sav, I honestly thank you so much for those kind words. And honestly, I think it's one of the things that the Iron Lords does fantastic. Shout out to King David and Cognito and Addict, yourself, all the guys that are on the show. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable how you guys give so much back as well. And that's the thing. I think that, it's kindness and kind of reaching out and doing these things to help people when they are down or they need a little bit of assistance. That's what we're supposed to be doing in this community. And you know what? Yes, we go through our little squabbles and we have our little this and that. But at the end of the day, honestly, like we were saying before the show, we all get together, we would have drinks, and it would be an absolute blast.
Man, it would be like David, like King says, it would be a movie. It would be a movie because it just be so much fun. But yeah, man, I'm at the point I'm too damn old to be arguing with anybody about video games.
Yeah.
I'm not we could sit here.
I turned that corner many years ago. That is the end of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I consider myself lucky to be sitting here, and my wife allowed the boss me to do this.
Absolutely. We tell her I said thank you very much. I appreciate it. And the audience is going to be appreciating it. And you know what? Listen, guys, we actually have a special guest in the audience. You guys don't realize this. The great Pope Art is here, formerly known as the Xbox Pope. Shout out to the Pope. You guys don't know this. I've actually met the Pope in real life. I had lunch with the Pope. Believe it or not, I mooched lunch off the Pope. I did it. Yes. I hope I still have a seat in heaven somewhere. Pope,
well
great
done,
to have
well
you
done.
here, buddy. It is outstanding to have the Pope here. Guys, listen, let's get right into it. And I hope the Xbot 448 does have a bit of coffee in his pot there because he's going to need it tonight.
It's right here. Cheers, guys.
Cheers to you, Xbot. Xbot, let's start with you. I want to start with you, and I want the panel to just jump in whenever they feel they have to. I want to get into the whole Returnal thing. So Returnal came out, and we'll start at the low end of it. And we'll build up, right, Xbot?
Today,
well,
right?
we did see your Twitter blow up a bit, but listen, nonetheless. Well, Returnal, let's be honest. Everybody in the panel will agree with me. I think everybody even in the chat. Let's not just pretend because things are kind of coming through in a very positive note right now. Let's also remember 2-3 weeks ago when we were all like, listen, I myself said, I'm going to be buying, I'm going to try it. We're in that kind of swoon right now. There's not a lot of games out. The game looked very tempting to me. I like that kind of gameplay, but we didn't know much about it. Now it's getting a lot of positive feedback. Things are good. Xbot, from what you've seen from the early preview review, it's not a full review, but the previews, has anything changed your opinion on the game itself? And how would you correlate that to how gamers are going to take that $70 price tag moving forward?
Yeah, when it comes to the $70 price tag, again, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I look at it personally. It's $10 more. I was a part of the whole going from $50 to $60 at the beginning of the 360 era, and I remember kind of like the backlash there. But the backlash, is really heavy in the beginning. But then I think people realize it's just going to be the way it is. And I really feel that, moving into this generation, of course, Sony came out and said it, and you're seeing it with this game, and then moving forward, more games. But I feel it's going to be a multi-platform type situation. I feel like $70 is going to be kind of like the norm.
Yes.
When it comes to, console gaming and buying new games physically and all that good stuff. So, I know there's going to be a backlash. It's kind of, I think it's kind of unfortunate that a new IP is coming out, and that's the thing that's testing the $70 thing. If something else came out that was a known franchise, you know, a sequel to a popular franchise or something like that with the $70 price tag, I think that would have been more accepting from the community.
Yeah.
But I think people are going to look at the $70 with the brand new IP. As far as the game is concerned, I think the graphics are absolutely stellar. I think, you know, graphically it looks really good. When it comes to the gameplay, and this is what I said on Twitter, when I said at its core, core gameplay, the movement and the shooting, dude, it's like a mirror image of ReCore. You know,
I think it's the words mirror image that may have caused a bit of the question.
I'm sorry.
Mooch, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't know you were going to say ReCore.
Yo,
I was like,
Eye Candy does a lot to a community. Let's be real. Like when they see something really pretty, they're like, oh, yo, I got to get that game. It's the catchy thing when it comes to games. Like graphics, you know, spread to a wider audience. You know, the casual and the hardcore both kind of look at how pretty a game is.
Right.
I was looking at side by side the actual gameplay.
Let me I'll come to your defense here for a second, Xbox, because I think the audience is going to go off, and I know there's a few people in the chat that want to, or the panel.
They're waiting for me. I
think,
man.
And Xbox, if I'm speaking incorrectly, let me know. But I really think that what you were getting down to is you were trying to say that it has similarities in the mechanics. Some of the mechanics,
even the dashing though, like even if you look at the character in Returnal and you look at the character in ReCore, the dash, the angle that the body like goes to the side and everything, identical. The way that she moves her legs, the way that her legs are posed during the dash, absolutely identical. That's what I was saying. At its core, it is a clone of ReCore, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when it came to ReCore, I don't think the complaint was the gameplay itself. I feel like the complaint when it came to ReCore, a lot of it was graphics, and then a lot of it was kind of like the progression,
right?
Which they eventually changed, you know, down the road. But you know, getting to that end level, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have to go and grind for like 40 more cores before you can actually open the door and stuff like that. I think that was a big complaint. And then graphically, I feel like the Unity engine was a bad engine to start with for this game. And then when you see things like you see stepping in the shadows and stuff like that, it looks like a staircase, you know, for the line of the shadows and stuff. It's stuff that I pointed out when I played the game. You know, that's
well. Let me do this. And I think you made some great points. I mean, Sav, I got to go to you here now. 2 points, two things here. I do want to hear if you have anything to add on what Xbox saying as far as a resemblance there in your opinion, and also I want to hear your opinion on just what you think of the game itself, and not just, you know, Monday morning quarterback. Now that we're seeing a little bit of the praise, but was this something that was ever on your radar in the first place? And was it the game that didn't interest you, or was it the price tag?
The price tag never bothered me because of how I feel about Housemarque. Like for me, Housemarque, since Stardust, I've been a fan. So the $70 stuff, plus, I mean, I'm an old bastard, so I know what it is to pay $120 for a Nintendo cartridge. Like, so
That's right.
It doesn't.
I'm right there with you.
It never bothered me. $70 to me. You know, I kind of figured we'd get that last gen, and it didn't happen. So at the start of the gen, we did get some of that $70 loving with I think the new version of NBA 2K, I think it was.
Yes, we did.
But that was a franchise I knew could kind of hold that, right? I actually, when that first happened, I said, you know what? It's going to be a big third party that's going to dip the toe in first, because those games are going to sell regardless. And no better game than NBA 2K to sort of prove that.
Call of Duty as well, Sav.
And yeah, exactly. COD as well.
Right.
It's you know, the $70 people are going to accept, I think. When it comes to the idea that a roguelike is not worth that, I think when you add the sort of narrative elements to it, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think it adds something to that genre that we haven't seen before. I think, you know, obviously Hades sort of added narrative elements to that type of gameplay. I don't know that I'd pay $70 for that game, but I love that game. I think production value wise, it's there. I think people are going to be wowed by the way this game looks and moves. I think we already heard it's 4K 60 with ray tracing on. So it's the first one we're really going to see that's doing that.
That's right.
So none of that bothers me, honestly. I think, you know, this is a game that is going to take a lot of people by surprise just because it's not what you expect visually from Housemarque. But when you look at the gameplay, back to Xbox points,
Yes.
I mean, yes, when you look at it third person, sort of the type of gameplay, the dashing, the sort of similarity in mechanics, yeah, you can see it. But to me, I look at it and it looks like Alien Nation in 3D. Like it looks like a Housemarque game in 3D.
Yep.
Yeah. So honestly, like I just think it's them transplanting what they do so well into the 3D space, and they're finally going to get the shine I think that they deserve.
Absolutely. And I really think that was a great point. Now, go ahead now, Brap, if you want to chime in. I do like what Sav said, though. And, when it comes down to it, listen, I'm trying to do a little bit of homework here. As you guys can see on screen, I started playing just yesterday. I said, I got this game. I started playing Nex Machina, and I got news for you. I couldn't put the damn thing down. And I think that's what and listen, I hate to sound like everybody that's reviewing, but like I'm sitting here and I was playing this game. Even I had this footage, but then I was playing it before the podcast. Like I got to be honest with you, their games are addictive. But Brap, go ahead, please. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, their games are super addictive. They have great gameplay loops. The mechanics are always strong. And to what Sav was saying, like this is kind of like Dead Nation on steroids. Like this is like the evolution of Housemarque. Yeah, this is them. I think like when Ben Studios went from they did make Siphon Filter, but for years they were doing ports and like stuff on the Vita, and then they went back and made Days Gone. And in some regards, this is them kind of taking like Ben did, kind of taking the next step in game development. And this game visually looks very impressive. I think this is like the first, at least in my opinion, like real like next gen game because it incorporates things like ray tracing, which are those buzzwords that we heard a lot full
utilization of the dual sense as well.
Not a buzzword, sir.
Yeah, and then the haptic feedback of the DualSense controller, like the rain, like it was a guy from Kind of Funny, I forget who it was.
Blessing Jr.
Blessing.
Yeah, Blessing's put the controller down, and the rain's hitting, and you hear it tapping on the desk.
Yeah, I love it.
And I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. And what he said, this game incorporates the best things of Metroid, Control, and I forget what other game he said. I was like, wow, that's quite the. And Hades, yes, thank you.
Hades, yep.
Those games, I mean, wow, really? Like Control's level designs, superb. Metroid, we all know Metroid, right? Hades, if you played Hades is amazing game.
Yeah,
great story, great gameplay mechanics. Like again, super giant games.
That joint was nominated in almost every category.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the true game of the year last year.
Yeah,
right.
I believe. Yeah, I agree with that.
Right.
This game, they do have a small window here because Resident Evil's coming out, but I think this game's gonna be pretty successful. I think a lot of people are gonna pick it up because we're kind of in a lull right now in terms of next gen content, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game does very well for a Housemarque.
Everybody's mad at Outriders.
Enrique, like you mentioned Ben Studios, right? And Days Gone. When it comes down to it, because a lot of the games that you were talking about by Housemarque, hardcore gamers, people, that follow the industry and stuff like that, they know about like the quality of those games and everything like that. But do you think that this game is gonna, kind of like meet Sony's expectations in the long run? Because I think we gotta add that to conversations now. Ever since they shot down the sequel to Days Gone, man.
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what Sony's expectations are. Frankly, I don't care. Yeah. I mean, we could have a conversation about it, but like, that's not like, I'm not worried about it. I mean, yeah, if you want to say, is this game going to, be bought by, a casual, gamer? Maybe not. I think that just depends on how much money Sony puts into marketing this game. I don't know. I mean, I just think that this game's probably going to do well because it's launching at a time where, like we're in a lull. Like people want next generation experiences with their console.
I was just going to say that they're hungry.
That could be the previews also, but but like on the Days Gone 2 thing, like I've actually said on some other shows, I said a lot of it is kind of like guessing because we look at the fact that they said Days Gone did well, but we also know that game was in like development for like a long time and
6 years
when it first came out. And I will say I don't think Sony necessarily promoted it the right way. But the one takeaway I kind of took from that, and not to get down the Days Gone 2 rabbit hole, I said honestly, we don't know what their pitch was.
Right.
Sony just simply said.
I mean, it could have just been zombie fatigue. Like
they're like
telling them go make another game first. Go make another game first and repitch. Maybe the pitch wasn't great, but repitch it later if that's what you really want to do. The thing about Days Gone for me, right? When they talked about the original game, what struck me was this idea that they, when they talked in interviews, they were like, "This is the game we wanted to make forever," and I'm like, "Really? This is what you came up with? Like they gave you a shot to make your game, and you came up with a zombie game."
I see.
Hang on.
But I'm just saying that's not super original.
No, it's not.
Neither shooting people though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Now listen, just so Mag, I want to get Mag the microphone here, but I know that one thing we also have in common is that I'm a sucker for anything that's zombie. So as much as I agree with Sav, I know that there's zombie fatigue out there. It doesn't really exist in my household. I love it. But
I got a question for the panel. How can we talk about zombie fatigue?
Yes.
When we shoot people all the time.
Well, what is it? You have people fatigue?
Yeah, that hits pretty well. That's true.
Shooting does get tiresome, man. And when shooting gets tiresome, that's when I go to Forza Horizon, Forza Motorsport, PGA Tour. You know what I'm saying? Like they're
we don't have car fatigue.
I do.
Well,
if you live in New York, you do. Listen,
fatigue,
Mag, what's your take on that? Not only the whole Returnal thing, but I think that Sav made a good point as well, and I'll add a little bit to the Days Gone thing after you're done.
Yeah. First of all, hold on a sec. Sav, I love you, and you know what? You guys are awesome. But I gotta disagree with you for 1 second here about Days Gone. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Days Gone wasn't about the zombies. If you actually dig deep and you really look into the story, I just got the platinum on a few weeks ago, so maybe I'm a little still high on it because I absolutely adored it. But however, that being said, the one thing is that I have to say is that it was the story that was gripping, and I liked the way it went. And like look at even just the name of the game itself. Spoiler alert: Days Gone is the how many days he's been apart from his wife, and that really touched me. I'm like, man, this is a really touching story. And my God, every single day when I finished work, I would race downstairs, turn it back on, because I wanted to see how much closer he was going to get to his wife, because you could see the heartbreak in his face. You could see everything else. It's almost like the zombies were sort of like a background to this, separated love story, so to speak. And that's what grabbed me. The gameplay loop, yeah, sure. The gameplay loop is the same as anything. You could have played State of Decay. It was the same thing. You grab a baseball bat, you smack a zombie in the head, you get back on your bike, and you take off.
Well, it's funny you say that, Mag. I'll add a little bit to the... Listen, you guys don't understand. Not only do I do CrossFire, I'm also the last living person that watches The Walking Dead. So, So the reason I like it was, I don't know if you guys realize this, but after Season 2, they're on like Season 9. After Season 2, guys, they stopped, but the zombie threat was pretty much over. They use zombies as a weapon. It became more about the person-on-person, the human element, which is what kind of went to shit, if you'll pardon my French. So my point being, right, that was the thing. So I think that's what it kind of came down to with that. I got a couple of super chats here I've neglected here, and I apologize. The great Sin Vendetta, he says, I'm so glad I wasn't the only one who was thinking Mooch and Mag was the same person. Well, Sin Vendetta, that's why we had to appear at the same time on the same show to prove people wrong. It was the only way we could do it. The melodic punk. I said it wrong. I knew it. Damn it, even Hustle tried to help me. Name check, he says, great show incoming. Melodic, actually, the great Hustle and Motivate. Could you please correct me?
It is the melodic punk.
Melodic punk.
Pronunciation. Yes.
Which, by the way, I want to tell the melodic punk that even the way I said it sounds fantastic. I mean, I think you sound great no matter how it is. Yes.
Hey, Mooch, it's melodic.
Yeah, it's melodic. Yeah. I don't think you want to say the melodic. I don't want to say that.
No, that I didn't say. That I did not say. I promise you that we will not go to those lengths. The melodic punk, though. That's my boy.
That's my boy.
He's great people, man. Outstanding to have him here. Thank you so much for super chat. Andy Hardy says, so the Xbox Series S holding things back. He says, don't think so. With new software support from AMD, another home run from Xbox Microsoft. Andy, I'm going to go ahead and just say, you're not wrong, but we're going to go ahead and put that on the back burner until we get to that topic. But Andy, you're not necessarily wrong, but we're going to dive into it. Shout out to the great One Typical Latino. He says, you have some of the best panels, Mooch, and rest in peace to DMX. One typical, absolutely. I do want to say that it's great to see all the memories and the music and everything that people put out on Twitter, right? We talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again this week. Like, those kind of memories and things that people put out there is absolutely amazing. That's what makes the internet amazing. Sometimes the internet can be wild, but that's what makes the internet amazing, is that it brings out the best, and we get to see every single thing that an artist did. Sometimes things you didn't even know that are absolutely amazing. So shout out to One Typical for bringing that up. But thank you for saying that too about the panel. The one thing that I always try to do here, if you come in, week out, is I always try to have new people on the show, because this is not, let's agree with Mooch for 2 hours. That would be, that's also a really, really long name for a podcast. But I mean, the thing about it,
on the show,
right?
Like that, bro.
Exactly, Xbot. It's very true. Nonetheless, thank you. And then Gemini J says people are so upset about an extra $10, but most spend that on fast food daily, yet an extra $10 one time is taboo. And Gemini J comes back and says Walmart says $10 cheaper at launch. So, Jay is not necessarily wrong there. And I do want to bring a point up here about the shout out to the great Ashen Luca, who did an outstanding rant the other day on her channel about the $70 price tag. I think that we kind of look at it, and I don't want to defend it. Listen, I'm a mooch, okay? I'm not going to defend the extra $10. But I will say this much. If it's something that you truly love and it's a hobby that you adore, let's be honest. Even if you're not a completionist, you're not an achievement hunter, you're not a trophy hunter, but you just love the game and you play it twice, listen, we're talking about how much we all miss the movies. I even being one myself, right? But the movies with a family of 4, okay, was $80 for IMAX seats, and then you're talking about a $20 soda, okay? And then you're talking about an $18, right?
Where are you going to the movies at?
You know what? No,
I'm just trying to say. My point being is over here. It is, isn't it? Listen, and that's a 2.5-hour experience if you're not including traffic, which is always fun. So,
well, Mooch, yeah, you're going exactly where I was going when talking about prices going up, because prices going to the movies when I was a kid are a lot cheaper than what they are now. And when it comes to entertainment, as entertainment genres grow. And we've watched the gaming industry grow, you are going to see inflation in different areas. And software is definitely going to be one of them, because that's where these companies make their money.
Yeah. But the one thing I will throw into that, though, is that, with gaming, just like everything else, it's always relative. And I think, we did spend with inflation and everything like that. We were spending what was equivalent to $100 or whatever they put us over the coals with when we tried to grab the last copy of Arcania of Time. But nowadays there's so many options. And I think, my personal opinion, watching Returnal, this looks like the game that was made for me. I'm somebody who grew up. First game I ever played was Robotron with my dad at an arcade. I love that kind of 8-way shooter. That there's just that addiction. And I was at one time I was actually on the top of the leaderboards for Geometry Wars. So that's always been my thing. And then I got hooked into the entire roguelite thing with the Dead Cells this gen. And I've been wanting to see that thing grow to this more AAA-ish, 3D environment, to see what would happen. So I'm actually really rooting for it. But I think it would be kind of naive to say that, it does have an uphill battle, because it is going to be compared against Resident Evil. It is going to be compared against, free to play and whatever's on subscriptions. And so I do hope it succeeds. And I think we should root for these games, because if Returnal succeeds, it could spur another, AAA genre, right? So there's really nothing else out there like that. So there's a lot of reason for us as gamers to root for it. And that's kind of why I do wish Sony would have maybe priced it in a way that could have introduced it to more people, because I think a lot of the people that do like roguelites or house marquee games are used to spending less on that stuff.
They should have put it in PS Now, bro. They should have put it in PS Now.
100%. Oh, nah. Well, they couldn't do that.
Yeah, brother.
Here's what I'll say. I'm a cop the game day one because it's a new IP. And how many times have we said, "Oh, we're tired of playing this type of game. We're tired of playing that type of game." Thank you, Hustle. Here's something that's slightly different. My only fear, though, it's fresh, but my only fear is this is a roguelike game. I don't know if a casual person is going to really even be feeling that. When you die, you got to start all the way over. I don't know if they're gonna be ready to handle that. And I'm well, damn, I spent 70 on this.
Right.
This is my first one playing it like that. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and I'm not gonna trade it back in or nothing like that. But I really hope it hit on a different level for me, because this is something new, man. And Housemarque, it seemed like they finally getting their shot. They made Resogun, correct?
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So while that was tough for me. I'm going to support Housemarque because I kind of want to see them flourish.
That's why people kind of always
Yeah.
go back to Ben Studios, right? Because this is their Outbreak game. This is their, because I mean they've made games like Resogun, Nex Machina, and a few others, but they are of this caliber that you're seeing on screen right here. This is their first real AAA blockbuster. So as much as the $70 price tag is a hard pill to swallow, and I understand that, I really do. They want to be treated just like everybody else. Now, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Resident Evil also a $70 price tag?
I think so.
I got the, and a shout out to the great Neil Augusto in the chat who just had to leave, but he just said shout out to Mooch. He gifted me the game. So I'm in his debt, but I appreciate the fact that I thought there was a $70 value one. There's a deluxe edition for $90. I mean, I thought so, and if I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to be wrong. I just
no, you're right.
It is right.
You know, actually, I'm looking on Amazon right now. They're $60.
It's 60.
Yeah.
I see. Well, that's the PS4 version I see for 60. So
Okay, the next gen ones are 70 then.
Yes, I see PS5 at $59.99.
Wow.
Yeah, the Series X one is the same price.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As
That's
we call it previous gen. Can I jump in here from
No,
a
please,
Canadian
Mag.
perspective for 1 second?
Yes.
There's something that I want to say about this situation.
Oh yeah,
and
Best Buy has the deluxe edition for 70. I'm sorry.
okay, it's deluxe. Yeah,
That's what I was saying. The deluxe
yeah,
is what I saw. Okay.
the standard editions are still the past. We'll call it past gen prices. But however,
Right.
you guys remember Happy Gilmore? You know when Shooter's talking to like the head of the PGA.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, everybody's coming around.
Everybody's coming
around. Yeah, I'm Shooter right now, and I'm like, well, I'm not, Doug.
I'm not
And
coming
I'll tell
around.
you why. I'm not coming around because let me tell you guys something. I know you guys are in the U.S. Wonderful. There's a lot of us that are not.
Wonderful.
Okay, Canada. You've got Australia. You've got Europe. Okay, and these countries and South America. These countries, these continents, these
are
places,
horrible. Yo.
dude. Let me guys give you a little check of reality up here. Okay, and let me tell you something. Don't say anything about the dollar. I know the dollar. There's a difference. All right, I get it.
Right.
But at the same time, the cost of living here in Toronto is the same as Manhattan.
Wow.
Okay. The prices for PS5 games for the standard edition here are $105.
So
Wow.
in other words, the price is wrong. So in other words, the price is wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's $105. It's $90 plus 15% tax up here. Okay. Because we got, because it's tied in with the healthcare that we get the free healthcare. So they charge us more in tax. Now, doesn't matter. It's still $105. Okay.
Right.
So if anybody didn't hear me in the back, it's $105. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is.
Okay, for the casual gamer who's sitting there going, okay, I got X amount of dollars here. Resident Evil's coming. That's the big, let's face it. Okay, Resident Evil has a 25-year history. It has a grand history. Okay, there was a couple misses here and there. However, it is still a tried and true franchise. You've got something new here on the horizon, and you got a guy who's holding in one hand Resident Evil 8, and he's got Returnal in the other hand.
Right.
Unless you've got a lot of expendable money, that a decision's going to have to be made at $105. I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm not the only one who lives here. It's not like Mag is alone here in Canada in an igloo. There's 33 million of us. There's Australia, like I said. There's Europe. Has a hell of a lot more people in Europe than there is in the U.S. and Canada.
So wait a minute, Mag. Let's. So it's 105 now. Was it 95 prior?
No, it was 80 prior.
Wow.
With tax, it was not.
That's some healthcare. Listen.
Yeah.
I got
don't
news for
worry
you.
about it, man. Eventually, Sony will catch up and they'll redo PlayStation Now, and you'll be able to get these games for a subscription through them.
Well,
and it'll be a lot better for you guys, man.
Xbot, I didn't want to go down that road, but it's hard to talk about one without talking about the other. And, at the same time, when you look at that situation and you look at what just happened here in the last month, okay, it cannot be ignored. For a multi-console owner, okay, like myself, I got the Switch, I've got the PS5, I got 2 Series X and a Series S in this house and a PC. Okay, so I got everything.
I'm moving in.
Yeah, come on in. There's lots of room here. Yeah, lots of room in Canada. Don't worry about it.
Bring a blanket.
Go ahead. Yeah, bring a blanket. But in all seriousness, though, okay, there's there's decisions to be made. When I look at the situation of Outriders, came essentially because I was already paying for the service. We'll call it free, okay? Even though I understand it's not free, but I got Outriders essentially for free. All of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, I get MLB The Show for free, and now they're saying, oh yeah, you can have Returnal, which I want, by the way.
Right.
Okay, because I like those games. I enjoy those games, and that game looks magnificent. In my eyes, House Marquee looks like the kind of dev that Naughty Dog used to be. Remember Naughty Dog way back when?
That's a
they
good
made
point.
those stupid games on the 3DO. What the hell was it called? Way of the Warrior.
Way of the Warrior.
Yes.
You remember that? You remember that shit on the 3DO? And they even made Math Jam in like '88 for
Math Jam
schools and stuff. Yeah,
Great.
that was Naughty Dog, by the way. If anybody didn't know, okay, FYI. Then all of a sudden, fast forward, they became the Uncharted.
Yeah.
Then they became The Last of Us, and then God knows whatever else they're going to be working on next, right? So these guys have done that jump. You've got that Rezo gun. You've got that Next Machina that which I love those top
It's
down.
great.
Sort of,
They are great.
I love them.
They're so good.
They're so much fun. You know what I do? I usually put on a podcast, turn off the sound and the
loud
game,
or
and just
loud
listen to a
music, podcast, anything. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's one of those games that it's about like you get into that groove and you get into that Zen
Rhythm.
movement where it's just a rhythm.
It's rhythm.
And you're not even paying attention. You're just doing that. So, but now look what they did. They took this monumental leap from like your Resogun / Next Machina, which are not bad games. They're great games. But I'm saying not the same caliber. Now they've gone Naughty Dog, okay, so to speak, with this Returnal. I want that, okay? But the thing is, when you look at the other side of the pond and you see what's going on over there, it's going to be hard for that casual gamer to say, whoa, what? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I had to buy Outriders for $105. I had to buy, let's just say for argument's sake, they bought it, okay? Or let's say they bought MLB The Show and Returnal. That's a year and a half of Game Pass.
Here's the thing, though. You know what, though? We got to talk about something, though, because you're right. You can't talk about the one without the other, Meg. You're 110% right, but we also have to talk about the other part of the. No, everything you said is gospel. I can't really argue with that. But there's a word that you left out. You said every word that meant something except for one, and that's quality. And
absolutely.
Right. So now let me explain that to you. Okay, you can get how many hamburgers can you get in New York City? 1 million of them, right? Okay, but let's use some names that some people know. Okay, you can go to McDonald's and you can get an 80-cent cheeseburger. 80 cents. Okay, that's the stuff you drop out of your pocket and your couch cushions. 80 cents, you can eat a cheeseburger. You go get a cheeseburger at Five Guys Shake Shack. It's like $7. Listen, there's a difference, right? But that's the thing. Sony's got the recipe. They got the recipe. And if you want to eat it, listen. That's the difference.
The games he talked about were multi-plats, bro.
But this is the thing.
No. Listen, the third-party stuff that's multi-plat, that's just deals. And I got news for you. Whatever they're going to do with Sony, they're going to have their third-party deals in PS Now or whatever they're going to rebrand that as in the future. They will.
But you know the thing is though, you can never doubt Sony's quality. I never will and never have.
That's what it comes down to. Here we are, and we're gonna kind of
didn't. That's why they took a bunch of developers over from PlayStation.
Well, but look, you know what I'm saying? Like they have a history of quality, and I never question it. I'm talking about not me, not you guys, not the chat. Okay, I'm talking about the average consumer who's out there looking, because they're the ones who make the majority of the sales, not us.
That's right.
There's not that many of us. There's not that everybody thinks there's a lot of us. There's not a lot of us hardcore out there. Okay. The majority of the people that are making these purchases, buying those PS4s, those 120 million PS4s, blah, blah, blah. The majority of those people don't even know what CrossFire is.
They
don't know who the Mooch is. They don't know who Mag is. They don't know who Brap is. If I went up
who
to
are
one
these
of these
people?
Kids tomorrow, I don't know.
Oh.
If I went to these kids at work tomorrow and be like, hey, did you listen to Brap last night? They go, who? They don't know. And I don't mean that in an offensive way. They don't know who we are. They don't know this whole society.
Can I tell you what else? Can I tell you what else? And here's the problem. A lot of people don't even know what Game Pass is, though, Mag. That's the thing.
No, you're right.
They don't know. And I know a lot of people in the chat are going to hear me say that, and they'll hear it later on. And they'll go, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Again, the community and everybody that listens in, and Brap, I'll give you the mic in a second. But that's the difference here is that you got to remember something, Mag, and you know this because you're an outstanding chef, okay? When you make a dish, I'm sure you make an outstanding marinara sauce. I know I make an outstanding marinara sauce. Here's the thing. If I like yours a little better, tough for me because I got to come to Toronto to get it. I got to go over there. Right, that's an expensive ticket to go have your sauce. This is my point.
Right.
So if you want to have Sony's recipe, that's the tag. And unfortunately, Microsoft can give away the farm. If you like what Sony's putting out, it's the same thing, okay? Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're talking about a steak or a hamburger or a pasta. If you want to go to the better
argument, though, if I
go ahead, no, stop, go.
I never understood the argument that why Sony wants to charge. why would they rather have you pay for a game $70 one shot? Why does that look better optically than paying for this game in a service, right? Because let's be real. Like, okay, how many guys on this panel played Crackdown 3?
I did. I beat it.
I did.
I'm sorry, what?
I did.
I beat it.
How many guys paid for Crackdown 3?
0, I guarantee.
0.
How many guys have Game Pass?
I do.
Well, we all got it because we got it. They gave it away for $1, Sav.
Then you're still paying for Crackdown 3. Like, do you understand? Like, you're still
Yeah, but they got like 26 cents for me. But go ahead.
Right. But it's not always going to be 26 cents.
You're
right?
one of the few.
No, it's not always going to be 26.
I'm not one of the few. That's the thing. I'm a lot of the hardcore. No, see, that's where I disagree with the Xbot. I think a lot of that 23 million, which we're going to get into, remember the hardcore jumped on that. Everybody that's a hardcore fan of Xbox says, dude,
he has like 3 years of it, right, in the bag. Right?
Yeah, 3 years in the bag.
The people that did that,
why wouldn't you?
Right,
exactly, Mick.
From since they started that whole deal that long ago.
Right. Well, 3 years is 3 years. Listen, but Sav's right. Sav said,
those people.
Listen, Sav said, Mooch, that's not going to last forever. He's right. But the thing I have to say to Sav is, I'm not necessarily going to run to start paying $120 or $180 a year, depending on if I want the regular or the ultimate. I'll just wait and let's just use some games that we know. Okay, that I don't know if I'm going to like them or not. But Starfield. Okay, so Starfield comes out. Let's just say November 2022. Okay. Well, when that comes out and I don't have the Game Pass anymore that I have right now, I'll get it for the $10 for the 1 month. I'll get 1 month. That's fine. And by the way, everything I'm about to say, I know Microsoft is okay with. I know they're okay with it, and I'm okay with it. But what I'm saying to you is, I'm just going to pay the $10 when a game comes out, play it for the month, beat it, and I'm done. So instead of giving Microsoft the 60 or the 120, I'm going to give them 10.
Cool. And they're
good with it, and I'm good with it. Right. That's fine.
And how many people are not as vigilant of their subscription services as you?
Fair enough.
Well, most don't cancel.
What happens when?
I don't know. I don't know if that. You know what's funny? It's funny you say that because with Jim, I know we we all use the gym membership crutch there, which don't get me wrong it's a great analogy. You really can't dismiss it. But I will say this much: I have friends that constantly dip in and out of Netflix and Hulu and all that. They'll dip in and out depending on when their show's in there and when it's not. I think people are more now that we've changed. You know, remember the gym membership joke worked when it was just the gym membership every month. Now everything's monthly. So people are a little bit more privy to it. I don't think that it necessarily holds the water it used to 3, 4, 5 years ago. Everything we do, everything from your mortgage to any type of entertainment is monthly. Your car payment, your Visa, I don't care what we're talking about. So people are a little bit more on top of that, I think.
Okay,
just wait until Halo Infinite comes out. Okay. And so many people are playing the
That's going to be a bump. It's going to be a huge bump. Yes.
The multiplayer over time, because it's going to be supported over time.
Yes.
So there's going to be a bunch of active people through Game Pass that are going to keep their subscription because they feel like, that that idea of it being free, even though you're paying for a subscription. Like there's something strong there psychologically, and people are gonna be like, "Gosh, I'm basically getting this for free. I'm gonna keep paying for this service. I get all these other games, and I am no-lifing the multiplayer right now." You're gonna see something crazy when Infinite comes out in that moment.
You're talking about Halo, Xbox.
I heard the statistics on it are most people, even when their thing expires, don't cancel. And I even heard the same thing for Game Pass. Like they have I don't want that. Like
I'm for the people on that whole thing. Forgetting about subscriptions and paying them, to me, that's not anything beneficial.
Xbox,
that's not
the Robin Hood of gamers. Go ahead.
Now, here's the thing.
I'm not on the side of any corporation because at the end of the day, they don't feed me.
Absolutely.
I want to make
Go ahead.
I want to make a quick comment about because we're talking about $70 and I've heard Nick talk about how expensive gaming is in Canada and
that's expensive.
It's expensive, man. That's
wow.
But gaming's always been an expensive hobby.
That's true.
If you go back to 1988.
Yeah, Saab, you were just saying this too.
Yeah, I go back to the days of the Atari 2600, and we were paying $50 in 1988 for video games, and $50 in 2021 is $112.86.
Yeah.
So it's always been an expensive hobby. I mean, it just is, and to the point of the $70 games and why would Sony want to charge $70? They're going to do it because they could do it now, but and they don't need to, they don't need to rush to pivot to a service where they're offering, their games day and day. They don't have to do that right now because there's a demand for their games. There's a certain level of quality that Sony has with their first party AAA games that no one else does in the industry.
I'm gonna keep it real.
Go ahead,
I'm
Hustle.
gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. This is Returnal we talking about. This is the roguelike we talking about. That joint gonna go on sale in about a month, dog. Like, we gonna be wearing like
okay. No, right. He got a point. Got a point.
As soon as the summer sale comes. As soon as that summer sale,
Yeah, I think it'll come before that. I think it'll come before that.
I think it's gonna be sometime in May. That joint is gonna drop. Yep.
I think that
they'll drop it quick.
But I got a couple super chats to Sav. Sav, you said something, and it's still resonating with me. You were saying something along the lines of, I think you were just saying that do people want to pay that $70, and what's the misconception around getting your mind around a subscription? Are you? I mean, Sav, are you hook, line, and sinker? You love what you're seeing from Game Pass, and you think that's just the way that you think Sony should follow that, or did I misinterpret?
I mean, look, I don't think. Should they be completely reactive to what Xbox is doing? Not necessarily. They've already shown and talked about the fact that I think largely what we're going to see from them this generation is more of the same. It's just that it seems like Jim Ryan is doubling down on the things that make them who they are.
Right.
And they're going to do those deals. I think they're going to go heavy on those third-party deals that kind of block off, allow them to get certain things first and things of that nature. And the only thing that's worried me up until this point, when we had all this talk about, all these changes going on at Bend and the Last of Us remake and stuff like that. My only worry was that it seemed like there was a change into the culture of Sony, right? And what made them who they are. And it just seems like they internally are unwilling to kind of do that anymore. But it doesn't mean they're not going to invest in those type of games on a second party level, on a third party level. It seems like they're going to fill in those gaps that way, but they just don't seem to want to do it internally anymore. Is that sad for me? Yeah, I prefer them to invest in that, on the homegrown level, just because it allows their smaller studios to feel like there's a chance for them to move up. Like we talked a little bit earlier about Returnal. What is the sort of the level that Returnal has to reach in terms of success for Sony to consider it to be a success? And I think that the answer to that is different for it should be different for every game, right? Now, if there's some general threshold that Sony wants to stay above all the time and Returnal doesn't hit that, well, at least they're a second party right now. They're not a first party. People have talked about forever how they should buy Housemarque, but I'm afraid if they buy Housemarque and there really is that change in the thinking at Sony, then Housemarque has to become something else in order to be.
I have no problem, Sav, with what you said, but the one thing I do want to there's a bit of an asterisk there though, and I think we get carried away in the community, and I just want to bring it up. And if you don't agree, it's fine. You don't have to, but. Everyone's saying, oh, well, Microsoft let them buy Discord and they're going to buy Disney and then they're going to buy. All right, let's calm down. Like, right? I don't want Microsoft. All right, I don't want Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo to buy everybody. There has to be independent thought, which gives you this creation. Okay? I know Microsoft says they're hands off. They're hands off until the bottom line starts to drop, and then they're hands on. Believe me. If you don't believe it,
you made fun of them for being hands off, man, and
absolutely
and everything. You said
that's what they no. Xbox, you can't.
Now you're like,
no. I said if the bottom line doesn't exist, okay, is what I'm saying. They are two hands off right now. They don't have any. Phil was gonna put Halo Infinite in our homes this past November. It wasn't ready, so he apparently didn't have his finger on the pulse. Right? I mean, let's just be honest. So, it's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, they have a problem with reading the room. They really do. They have a problem with reading the room.
Thank you, Sav.
But it sounds like they were being more hands-on.
But again, I want to get back to what Sav said. That
develop talent versus so much the ones that had already been there, because obviously they need to be more hands-on with 343.
Right, but I want to get back to what Sav was saying with the creative freedom, though. I mean, like, I like what Sony's doing right now, and the fact that they said, okay, listen, we're taking our teams that we currently have, we break up into groups, which Microsoft's doing as well. I like that they're doing that. The Coalition's working on a few things. A bunch of these big developers are working on a few things, which rightfully so, both of them. But then when you see, like, maybe they'll acquire a Bluepoint, or maybe they'll acquire a Housemarque, that's fine. But I don't want them to get Bluepoint, Housemarque, this, that, that, right? Iron Lords, Crossfire, this, and that. They're gonna right. Stop it, because everybody doing that every day, and they're like, Microsoft's gonna take Sega and Konami and this, and it's like, no, because listen, if Microsoft grabs all of that, you're not going to get much of anything from those because they're only going to put so many games out. They're not going to be able to do all, and then teams will falter. The great Jeff Grubb, who was on the show, he said himself that a lot of the teams that were acquired in the ZeniMax deal were probably going to falter if Microsoft didn't come in and scoop them up. And then I had an asterisk to that. I said, listen, that's true. But I said, let's also be honest. It's not like Microsoft came in, swooped in, saved them, and they're saved forever. If the teams that are under ZeniMax Bethesda, if they don't start to make games that are being down, like not sold because it's all going to be in Game Pass, right? If they're not being clicked on, and they're not being like used or utilized or tallied, right, or played, they are going to let those teams go too, and that's business. I'm not going to. You can't blame Microsoft for that. That's business.
I think what Game Pass does, people don't really talk about.
They don't talk about that.
I think what Game Pass does is allow you to democratize the selling of games in a way where the insistence on hitting certain sales numbers is lessened because of that. So I do think it allows them the freedom to make what they want to make, and a cushion from that constant scrutiny of I didn't hit this sales number, right? You know, I think that is true.
That's a good point.
Does Microsoft have a bottom somewhere where they're like, okay, like this is obviously
they
not
have
working,
to,
right?
They have to.
At some point, something got hit. I got a question for y'all.
Go ahead,
when y'all play games in Game Pass, how often do you buy the games that you play in Game Pass? Because for me,
never
like
0.0.
I've never bought a single game. If it's there free, why would I buy it?
That is
right, exactly. Why would I buy it? That's the part I don't get. To like, it helps. The people that say that it helps, if you read the articles, majority of them are these small indie developers where their sales are up because a lot of people weren't going to buy them in the first place. So, when you listen, if you were selling 0 yesterday and somebody buys 1 tomorrow, you're like, we're up 100%. You're like, right? So my point is like, that's what I'm saying. So you're not seeing. So when Mag actually had the right answer. Why would I buy it? Like, that's the whole point of having Game Pass.
It's not like those games are in for 3 days.
No, they're in there for like 3 months or maybe sometimes a
3
year.
months to a year. Like I played Rage 2. Like I know Rage 2 takes about 80 to 100 hours to complete. And I completed it. I absolutely adored that game. I put in about 85, 90 hours in that game, give or take.
Right.
Okay? But it's still there.
I feel it.
You know what I'm saying?
Y'all don't want to have ownership because I'm big
Hell
on like
no. Digital's not ownership.
Wait a minute. No, Hustle brings up a great You bring up a great point. I know we shouldn't really look at what Hustle's saying and dismiss it. To be honest with you, yes, I do. The thing is, though, I do have to say, I'm not going to double dip into my own pocket twice. If the game is on Game Pass and the developer says, hey, they're going to put it in Game Pass. Like, I'll give you an example. Outriders. I was going to go buy Outriders, but then it was in Game Pass, right? Good on you, Brap. And
I did because I got the definitive version.
You wanted to play on PC,
where
right?
Were you going to buy Outriders? Like, what system were you going to buy it on?
I was going to buy it on PS5, and
what happened? You ended up playing it where?
Game Pass.
On Xbox.
I played it on PC.
Yeah, but that doesn't. But what is that? What is that? That doesn't. That's great. That's why I have it, right? I mean, that's fine. I'm not belittling that. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time,
the business side of things, you became a number that Xbox is showing to developers. You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of people misunderstand what they say when they say they sell more of those games. I don't think it's necessarily to the people that are trying it in Game Pass. If you were looking at the budgets of most like AAA games, generally like there's a huge portion of that's marketing, like right for Call of Duty or even the big ones you already know about. And then for smaller developers, like getting discovered in general is, that is next to impossible. It's like trying to be discovered as a needle in a haystack. So when they put themselves in Game Pass, they get that extra engagement. They get, people are trying these games for free.
Right.
And I want to kind of go back to, one of the things you guys were talking about earlier when you said quality and, the thing I would say with quality, a lot of that is very subjective and everybody's going to have different priorities on that. Some people, for them, quality is just those handful of games that they're very familiar to them, that look AAA. They play a few of those a year and they play 4 to 6 games a year.
Right.
But for a lot of people, it really is the variety. And I happen to be one of those people that really does like a real that likes to try new things. And a lot of times that stuff doesn't work out, right? So it gets expensive if you want to just try out every little thing that looks kind of interesting. So I think that what something like a subscription model does, and this goes back to like Returnal, is it gives the consumer a low risk way to try these things out, become exposed, find new genres, find new developers, and so you can create a quality that way it's a different type of quality. It's like when I think of Netflix, and I watched a couple shows last year, was like Dark and Haunting of Hill House, two shows that I would have never like paid money to go see, but I found those, and they were two of my favorite shows that I've watched in a few years. And so, and you could see like something like that wouldn't be mainstream.
The thing about it, though, when it comes down to it, OBM, and me and Sav were talking about this, and Brat before the show, and I think we can even bled into the show, is like time is of the essence these days, right? And everyone's like, well, don't you want to have 250 games at your access? Not really. I mean, to be honest with you, at the end of the day, right? I don't. I mean, I don't. Listen, we're sitting here and we spent the first 30 minutes critiquing Returnal, rightfully so, by the way. Everyone's opinion counts. But my point being here is that some people were like, it's not my jam, it's not my thing, this and that. Then there's RE8 coming out, and then there's Replicant that came out today, Near Replicant. My point being is that there's like new games don't ever stop. And we make the joke every day on Twitter. Uh-oh, what's looking at me from my closet? It's my backlog. All right, right? So everybody's got 200 games they haven't played that they already own. People are buying games every day that are coming out. And then we're like, Mooch, don't you want to play 250 random games from the 360 era and indies and Game Pass? And I'm like, Mooch, not so much.
Mooch,
you know what I mean? Like,
you're not seeing the deal here. Like, when it comes down to it, the number is enticing.
It's fine. I'm just giving you. Listen, here's the other.
But then you see like Outriders going in there.
Absolutely.
MLB the show.
Absolutely.
And, Xbox has created hype. This is the most amazing thing to me when it comes to the Xbox platform.
Right.
They have created hype and momentum moving forward.
I agree.
Without dropping a first-party game.
Yeah. Hype and momentum? Twitter's an Xbox Game Pass commercial. Hype and momentum.
That's amazing, buddy. That's absolutely amazing.
Isn't it? Isn't that something? Every third tweet is at Xbox talking to at Wendy's, and then at Xbox is talking to at Game Pass, and at Game Pass is. It's like they're all talking to each other, and we're all sitting there watching the Game Pass program. I'm like, holy shit, how'd they do this?
So tell me, fantastic generation though for that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, brother. No, I'll spit after.
Real quick, like, so what if they do hit that cadence of a first-party game coming out every 4 or 5 months at some point?
They will.
They will.
But can I please say something? And I'm so glad. Thank you for setting that volleyball up. Let me hit this real quick. Okay.
He said thank you. I'm right. Drop this grenade right on you.
All we ever say is Halo Infinite, Starfield, Avowed, and we're like, that's gonna be banger after banger after. We don't even, like you just said, they're gonna have first party games coming out every 4 months. But just like we were very critical the past 3 months on Returnal, like everybody just assumes because the games are coming to Game Pass, they're going to be games you want to play. We don't know. We don't know anything. Everyone just keeps naming the title of the game. Well, I'm making a game too. Let's put that. Like, who cares?
You know what I'm saying? Like the title, but no.
Hold on. Okay, so you want to talk about the pedigree? Let's talk about. Wait. So wait a minute. Fallout 76 came out. By the way, I played it. Me and shout out to Sully. Me and Sully were the only two playing it. I was right.
You backed that game so hard,
so everybody, I love that game. I really did. My point being is this: like, that's what I'm saying when you say the pedigree. These teams, a lot of the teams got bought up because people weren't buying those games, right? In the ZeniMax deal, nobody liked Fallout 76, huh?
That has to do with
this. Yeah, the sales doesn't have to do with the pedigree.
No, I'm not talking about sales. I'm talking about whether you want. I'm talking about what Sav said. Whether you want to play the game or not. That's all I'm talking about. So people will say, Mooch, there's all these games coming out.
Real quick.
Go ahead,
because that's kind of like the point I was making. I was like, it's great that, they picked up ZeniMax and they have like these great titles in the portfolio. But I'm like, those games were great before they went into Game Pass. But everybody does this thing like, no, they're in Game Pass. Now they're even more amazing. I'm like,
right. That's all you hear.
I'm like, hang on. Everybody was like, tripping
I'm just saying pump the brakes.
But no, they were tripping over themselves. And I'm like, wait a minute. Dishonored, Prey, all those games were in Game Pass months ago.
Yep.
And no one said anything, but all of a sudden they got the extra sauce when they hit Game Pass and the check was signed.
Yeah, now all of a sudden
you
Fallout.
bet that's hype, though.
So anecdotally, no. So anecdotally,
Well,
Mooch
you're
has a point.
you're
Like,
talking
so
console
it's a
war
pedigree.
drama right there.
No, he's
I'm
not. No, he's not.
No, that's not console war drama.
Oh my
So
god! Really?
I'm
That's
going
actually-
to pull a Mooch here. You know, the only thing better than a bowl of Chipotle
Ooh.
is a free bowl of
Bowl of
Chipotle.
Yeah, fair enough.
How many?
Yeah.
How many
Console
new?
war drama. What I'm
How
saying
many new
is-
baseball
But no, but
fans
hold
do we
on.
have on Xbox right now? How many baseball fans do we have now on
Yo,
Xbox?
for real.
Like,
Exactly.
at least the last
Exactly.
week.
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? Sov, I wouldn't have paid $105 for MLB The Show on PS5.
For sure.
Okay, I got the PS5 staring at me right now. I remember Boom. I was talking to Mr. Boomstick XL, and he says it's not $105. There's no way. I said, okay, fine. Screenshot. I sent it to him. Okay, I sent it to him, and he responded with I won't even tell you what he responded with.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
couldn't believe it. Okay, but you know the thing is, then all of a sudden it showed up on Game Pass. Guess who's a Toronto Blue Jays fan all of a sudden once
Oh,
again?
yeah, of course.
Okay, like I'm
But-
right in there day one. I'm right there in the batting cage. I'm ready to go because it came at an affordable price. Now that's something. Hold on, let me just get into this for 1 second here. I don't want to derail this, but I want to say this: the Game Pass situation, the Game Pass effect for a multi-console owner, for me specifically, even the hardcore and everything else. You know what that just did? That just freed up enough money for me to be able to go buy those other games. I'm not happy
Dude,
about it.
It caused
but-
Mooch that originally he was going to purchase something on PlayStation,
Mhm.
and because
Right.
of Game Pass, it made him an active user on that game on
Yep.
the Xbox platform. Man.
Okay, so
Yeah.
right, so you see what I'm saying? So now by not having to buy Outriders to not have to buy MLB The Show, now I've got that money
Mhm.
to put towards Returnal. I'm getting Resident Evil 8 on Xbox because I got the headphones for it. I want to hear it on there, and then I got Ratchet and Clank coming out in June. Okay, now when I'm bitching about the $105 price tag, which I've been bitching about all night, but the thing is, I'm not really talking about me specifically. I am talking about the general population. You know, the 8-year-old kid that goes, "Hey, Dad, can I have this? It looks cool."
Right.
And that's when the dad comes down and goes,
So
105, what? Yeah. Go back to playing Warzone, kid. Okay, that's what's gonna happen.
So hold on,
Man,
Xbot and Hustle. Let me just
But for
hold,
a
guys. Hold
hardcore-
the mics just for a second because a few people in the chat are saying, "Mooch, you're not paying attention to super chats." Let me just take care of these great folks here. Shout out to the Great Gaming Forte. He says, "Why do I hear Mooch twice?" Oh, that's Mag. Shout out to the Gaming Forte. Appreciate
Forte?
that. Gemini J is back. He says, Walmart says, oh, apologize. I missed that one there. He said something about Walmart again with $10 cheaper at launch. Appreciate that, Jay. Alvin says, was planning on waiting till Ragnarok to get a PS5, but Returnal has me checking for one now. Looks like it scratches my Metroid itch. Panel is a 10 out of 10 today. Thank you so much for that, Alvin. By the way, the Alvin's comment right there, it rebuttals what Mag and what Xbot are saying. Here you have a game where he was going to wait to buy until a PS5 till Ragnarok. He goes ahead and he's looking to actively buy one because of Returnal. You see, that's the thing. So it's
you might be pointing out the most minority of minorities at that point, though.
Well, you know,
let's be real. You're talking
it still
about one
sells
person.
if it's going to sell a console,
it sells a
then they've done their
console.
job.
They did their job exactly.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. If the game sells a console, they've done their job.
Eventually going to be purchased anyway.
I got shout out to the great Wopzilla here.
enough.
He says, "Is the richest guy in the room complaining $70 games when he has 2 Series X's and a Series S?"
Oh, Wopzilla's been going after me in the chat the whole show. I've been
Listen,
watching it because he's got
Mag,
his name's in caps. I love
Mag,
it.
listen,
I love you, Wopzilla.
the entire Crossfire chat has a calculator with them at all times. It's the way we work here. Smokes901 says, "Wait a minute, weren't games $80 to $100 back in the NES? What are we doing here?" Shout out to Smokes, who says, "What are we doing here?" Right, Brep? But honestly, PlayStation should have let third party.
Warzone, Fortnite, and all that other stuff back then. So it's all relative, right? It's just the value. It's not that you're not getting. Yeah, it's not that you're not getting money's worth. It's just when somebody else comes out and offers you more value, that's comparative. So. You know,
but the thing is, doesn't that open the door for both? It's beneficial for both companies. Like, for example, Xbox, by doing what they're doing, it now opens the door for people to free up their money to say, hey, I can try this other thing, because Nintendo drives down their own road. Okay, they always have, they always will. They'll sell you 25-year-old games with no upgrades and be like, full price, bitch. And people will line up, right? They'll line up. They'll throw their wallets. Here, take it. Take my firstborn. Whatever you want. Just give me Mario 64. No upgrades. That's what they do. But hey, that's a whole other ball of wax. The point is, the thing is, it opens the door because Sony has their own way of doing things. Great, that's fine. That's good for them. But what Game Pass is doing, like I said, if you are that multi-console owner, and you don't even have to be a multi-console owner anymore, you can play Xbox on your tablet, your phone, your whatever. Right. Now that opens the door for Sony. So it actually benefits Sony because now you're freeing up that cash to say, well, shit, now I'm going to go buy Returnal and whatever else. Well, I'm saying, and Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West and blah, 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 blah. Right. So it opens.
I think you bring up a good point, and that's one thing that I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. Like, even when you look at like the research on like where the industry is going and things like that, they say, one of the aspects of it is that, somebody like Microsoft being successful with Game Pass could actually help Sony, and Sony being successful in other markets can help Microsoft. And it's different when you look at like consoles, like the traditional model and how that teeter-totter works, that, hey, you sell more consoles, you get more exclusives, you sell even more consoles. So that's like that is like a zero-sum game or whatever, that terminology is, where you really do have a winner and they can eat the whole pie, right? But in this next sort of environment that the gaming's moving to, they're basically saying that where the research shows it is that, somebody paving the way will actually create a path for a bunch more people to kind of jump on their backs. And you even see that right now with like Netflix. They spent all those years building up to where they're at. And then now you're seeing all these other companies just jumping in like right away. They're getting, you see Disney getting 100. It took Netflix a decade and a half to do what it took Disney 2 years, but that's because the market was established.
Well, so that's the part we got to kind of, and I want to get into that, OBM, because that's the one thing I think when Sony says they're going to have their counter to what Game Pass is. The thing that made Disney Plus a reason that we all still probably have it. It's not, believe me, guys, it's not Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's not what's keeping you there logged in. You might say that for today, and then 3 days from now, you go, it was all right. My point being is
it's Cinderella, Mooch.
It's exactly. It's the Cinderella. It's the Pinocchio. It's their listen. You say it, but it's their catalog of what they own, and that's what PlayStation has. They have PS1, PS2, PS3 games. Which shout out to Hip Hop Gamer, who has been saying this for a long time, and I think that he's going to get all the credit in the world. I think they're going to have a PS1, PS2, PS3. Gamer, dude, I think those games are coming back in some sort of emulation form. Brad, we were talking about this, right? They're going to come back in some sort of emulation form.
That's the rumor. Yeah,
that's the rumor.
Emulator. That's the rumor. Yeah, there's an
and
emulator.
If they put that into a PS Now and they rebrand it, guys, that's a viable weapon against Game Pass, no matter what you want to say. And let me go ahead.
I was going to say, there's something to be said about having a catalog of content that people have.
That's why Disney Plus is successful.
An affiliation with, yeah.
Right now.
Disney Plus. Look, Middle-Aged Gamer mentioned Nintendo. That's the allure of Nintendo. People have this sentiment, this nostalgia about Nintendo, about Mario, which is why they can go and release, they could release the 8-bit Mario on the Switch right now and charge $70, and everyone will go out and buy it right now.
Right.
Because those things have value. People assign value to those things, and Sony is in a position, unique position, where they've been doing this for 25 years, where they have established franchises like we're talking about Ben Studios. Imagine Siphon Filter or many of these other games that they had on the PlayStation 3. You can get them now on PlayStation Now as part of subscription, or maybe Sony goes back and maybe even remakes some of those things the way Disney's done, and then drops them into a service like that. So it's I agree with OBM said 100%. Like Microsoft doing this is certainly going to open up the avenue for other people in the console space to do subscription-like services, and not necessarily have to do it the way Microsoft does it. I think they can be successful in doing it in their own ways too.
No, I agree.
They don't have to be Netflix. You can be HBO. You can be Disney.
Well, that's the thing.
They can do their own thing, and it'll be successful. They don't have to mirror. They don't have to match the punch. You know what I mean? Microsoft throws a punch. They don't have to throw the same punch back.
That's it.
What it does, you know what I'm saying? The thing is, though, but it is financially beneficial for the consumer when you have a Game Pass.
Hey, Mag,
option,
can I ask you a question?
And then you can go to the
Hey, Mag, real quick. So if Outriders and MLB, besides those two games, can you list me the last 3 Game Pass games you've been playing?
The last 3 Game Pass games I've been playing?
Yeah, if you need a week, you can come back next week if you like.
I'm not going to lie to you, my brother.
Right.
The only ones who are playing Game Pass before
That's what I'm saying. And Mag, by the way, that's not a jab at Mag. By the way, that's not a jab at Mag. That's the thing. That's the thing I'm saying here is that we've got to.
I can tell you 3 games.
Well, I strategically didn't.
Oh, I dabble.
Xbot.
But the thing is,
I strategically didn't go to Xbot. He's still playing Mario Paint. Listen, I got to be honest with you. Xbot plays everything. Xbot, you play everything though. You play everything. You're not. That's not fair. I mean, literally. Yeah. You're playing the new Mooch and Crap game that we gave you. Yes.
You know what? Mooch has got a point. Up to this point. there's been a good lull in there. And the only thing that were going on before that is that my kids were playing that goddamn game with the floppy people. What the hell is that called?
The human
delivery asshole game, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Human fall flat.
Human fall flat. Yeah, human something. Yeah.
That game's hilarious.
It is funny. It is funny.
Stupid. I hate it. Why can't you just have people that move like normal people? Anyways, that's besides the point.
So wait, hold on.
My kids were playing that game.
Guys, I got a couple more super chats here. Then I do want to move on to another subject here. I just want to finish Smokes 901. He said, but honestly, PlayStation should have let third party lead with $70 price tags, or at least PS Plus members get a discount. Smokes always speaking logical. When Dingo Rex, he says, Xbox 448, if Halo Infinite multiplayer is going to be free to play, how does Game Pass fit on that? That's an interesting thing about that for a second, Xbox. I'll come back to you. The Great Gaming Forte says, wonder who said Returnal will be half off in 30 days. The Great Gaming Forte! Forte from left field. He hits hard. I got news for you, Forte. You're 100% right. Forte did say that last week.
I said that too, Forte.
Did you say that as well?
Yeah,
Shout out to Hustle.
I said that earlier. Yeah, I said earlier tonight. Yes, I did.
Wapzilla comes back. He says, we talk way too much about service that won't confirm its active subs. It's overpriced and less than 20% of Xbox owners use it. Khalil Jaman, we'll come back to that, Wapzilla.
They don't talk about numbers. How do you know it's less than 20%, though?
No, I think, that might have been an estimation on his point, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Khalil Jama says, doubt Returnal goes for sale. Demon Souls never did. That's going to be interesting, but Demon Souls has history, Khalil. That's the only thing I would say about that. MexJ88 says, this Xbox and Game Pass commercial is brought to you by CrossFire. Game Pass is great. Thank you, MexJ88. You're 110% right on that. Rexer says, honestly, most people don't know about Game Pass. If you look at TikTok or any social media platform with casual gamers, it's all PS5 talk. Most people only buy sports games or Call of Duty. Rexer does have a point because we are in a bubble. You know, whether we like it or not, no matter how big your reach is, when you're looking at 120 million PS4s and 50 million Xbox Ones, and then you look at the community that we talk to, we are smaller than we may think we are. A lot of the people that... Go ahead.
I would say, but Mooch also stated that we're sitting back on Twitter and watching the Game Pass commercial unfold
in our bubble.
How many millions of people?
So in our bubble. My friends and coworkers are not, they're not subscribed to at Xbox or at Xbox Game Pass or at Sony, or at PlayStation.
You can subscribe to at Xbox 448 on YouTube, though.
You know what's crazy?
Go ahead.
You guys want to hear something nuts? The kids that work for me, okay, they're like anywhere from 16 to 22 years old, right? They're kids that work under me. 4 out of the 7 have an Xbox Series X, and the other 3 still have an Xbox One S. I believe they have like the digital, whatever the hell, the sad one, right?
Xbox sad, yeah.
You know that only one of them has Game Pass? One of them has Game Pass. The other ones have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
Because I talk about it at work, right?
And I talk about it at work too.
Outriders and stuff. Yep. They're like, what? They don't even know what Outriders is. They're like, well, what's it like?
A lot of people, Meg, thanks for bringing that up.
Series X.
A lot of people say this to me all the time on the show. They're like, well, Mooch, you're just hating. I'm not. I actually talk about Game Pass quite positively around friends that have family and kids. And I got to be honest with you. They're like, nah. Like they're not interested. They're not interested.
They got to hammer you. Yes, you're right. And the thing is, you also at the same time.
But that's my small world. I'm not saying that's the say all end all. A very small consensus there. That's nothing at all. I'm not using my example. I'm just trying to say I'm in the same world as you, Meg. Of all the people that I know that have kids, have Xbox Series X's or Xbox One X's, maybe one family I know has Game Pass, and they do it month to month. They don't do it like for years out. You know what I mean?
Right. These are guys that I work with, though. These are not like my family or friends. They all have it. Okay. But that's another story because I sold them on. I'm like, guys, there's this and that. Right. Now, however, if you think about this, the sports games have all made it in there. Madden 21, NHL 21. What else is in it? FIFA 21 have all made it in there. But that's because of the EA deal, whatever else. But your Call of Duties are not in there. You put Call of Duty in there, you're gonna be talking a whole new ball, whole new situation. However,
even with Madden, that helps too. Can I say one thing in regards to Game Pass?
Go ahead.
Of course. That up. For the very first time, and so if you just had her on the Iron Lords, Megan Starks, who is one of the creators for the Outer Worlds, not the Outer Wilds, the Outer Worlds. I'm actually going to try that for the first time because this is on Game Pass PC, and if I like it enough, I'm actually going to go back on Steam and copy it. For me, like, that's phenomenal. I wish we would have had something like that around when I was a kid because we didn't have a lot, man. And as y'all know, those Nintendo games were $70, $80, and 2-hour experiences, and then you have it now for $10. Basically, I'm gonna play a game that's at least 12 hours long, like at the very minimum. And if I want to complete the whole thing, it's about 24 hours long. So like, it's extremely dope, man. And I mean, look, I'm not keen, or I'm not particular, I'm not too familiar on like the actual numbers themselves. But I mean, look, if for PlayStation, for me, for the step it up, they got to do everything that Microsoft is doing. So you know how every Xbox original, Xbox 360 game is pretty much like remastered at like 1080p and like brought up the standard, brought up the snuff. Like PlayStation now has to do that too. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but they're gonna have to do that at some point in order for me to get a PS Now as well.
I think if we even get just back compat on that stuff in any way, shape, or form, and like you guys are talking about an emulator, right? It just seems like if you look at the way Jim Ryan has spoken in the past, obviously he knows he has to find some way to sort of move this stuff forward. But I think he's going to look for the most economic way to do it. And the way Microsoft does it is definitely not the most economic way. They worked at at basically making the 360 run in software on the Xbox One. And if you ask anybody at Sony, it's going to be the cell processor is what's stopping us. Yet there's a PS3 emulator on PC now. So obviously somebody figured it out, right? It's just a matter of whether they want to do it monetarily. So I do think my thing is this: they haven't actually talked specifically about what their deal with Microsoft is in terms of Azure and how that's going to work in conjunction with Gaikai and if that's going to take over Gaikai and they're going to remove that, it's just going to be Azure. If they improve their online infrastructure to the point where they can run cloud stuff better than they're doing now, I think the easy route is to sort of you put that stuff in the cloud and let people play it that way. It's not ideal, but I think it is their easiest way forward.
No, I completely
they're going to supplement it with the other stuff we were talking about. It doesn't have to be a perfect counterpunch to what Microsoft is doing. We saw that with the Movie Pass stuff that they're going to test out in Poland and stuff. They're going to try to bring value, not necessarily in the game realm though. And again, it's gonna have to be something from Microsoft, like a constant flurry from Microsoft that's gonna even force them to think about bringing something first party day and date.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I don't think that. Go ahead.
I've actually said the same thing. I said the market will dictate. People always say, "Well, they got to, they have to do this like day in day out." They don't, like you guys said, they don't have to do anything yet.
Really
but
don't.
The market will dictate if Microsoft puts that up to where they're actually seeing that. Yeah, this is all right. This is really, really hitting a notch. Then the market will dictate that. Until then, they will figure out what avenue to take, to be like their counterpart.
I got to piggyback what E's saying right now because, and Sav, you said the same thing. It's not just going to take a push. It's going to take two things. It's going to take a push from what Microsoft's doing, but it's also going to take a step back for Sony. And let me explain what I mean. You have Returnal coming out. If Returnal does well, Sony's going to go, okay, double down. We're doubling down on what we said. We don't need to do what they're doing. We're killing it.
They won't do it. They won't do anything.
That's the thing, right? And Returnal, as everyone just said, is a new IP nobody even knows about. We don't know. We don't even know what. The minute Naughty Dog, whatever Naughty Dog makes, is just let's talk on their merit is just going to print money. They know that. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't need to I want to see Sony add value, like Sav said. People were kind of laughing at the video pass. That's fine. You can laugh. You don't have to like that. That's fine. But here's what I'm saying. Now I'm going to sound like Mag. I'm already paying I have PS Plus for 3 years. They want to throw all their Sony movies in there too? I'll take them. Look at the games we're getting every month from them. As long as I have the service, I get those games. Nobody talks about the PS Plus collection. Nobody talks about how much. We talk about it for about, 12 hours on Twitter? And then it's back to Game Pass. But people forget that the games that are coming out for PS Plus, games with gold is just dead. I think we'll all agree with that. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Those games have been pretty terrible for a long time. Their emphasis is Game Pass. That's fine. Yeah. But Sony's doing their own version of here's a bunch of games every month, and they have a little bit more of a higher echelon quality factor to them, and they're giving them to you. As long as you have their service.
The mind share isn't with Sony in that category right now, which is why the conversation just constantly
on Twitter
goes back to Game Pass.
Yeah.
On Twitter,
on Twitter, in podcasts.
But that's our world. That's fine.
Xbox. The proof of the pudding is going to hit in about 2-3. I know it's laugh all you want. Wait till E3, right? But 2 or 3 years from now, when those bigger games come out, that's when it's really going to test it. Not now.
Sure.
But what Mooch is saying,
absolutely.
he's 100% right. The PS Plus situation is outstanding. And it's actually a good deal. They got great games on there, whatever. Game Pass is just starting to turn that crank right now. They seem to have found that winning formula of like,
Yes.
well, you know what? The first party stuff ain't happening right now. We've got so much money, we don't know what to do with it. Let's just start buying stuff. Satya Nadella said it himself. He goes, well, why would we build up studios? Why don't we just buy shit? We got FU money. Excuse my language. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we've got FU money. We can just go to the club.
That's
and
the
just
thing,
pull out
Mag.
that wallet,
And
you know
Mag,
what I
I don't know how many people watched Crossfire or M&C, but when Game Pass first came out, okay, and you guys can go back and listen to it.
No,
I said, right? What, the Mag, I call Mag to the stand. Mag, I said what Game Pass needs is third-party games day and date.
That is correct.
I said that day one.
You said
and
that
now,
3 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you for at least saying that. I said I appreciate that. That means the world to me. And I got to be honest with you.
It never was at that time.
It wasn't.
It
wasn't.
No, I wasn't making a joke. But
He's right. He's right. He's absolutely right.
If you don't get third-party games in there, it'll be a never was.
You have to have third-party day and date. It doesn't have to be GTA 6 that goes in there, but you needed games like, at the time before they had ZeniMax, you needed games like The Evil Within 2. You needed games like Outriders. Outriders themselves, there was many articles written last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that said Outriders really may not have made it very well without Game Pass. It may not have just been picked up by the masses. And then with the huge kerfuffle, or whatever you want to call it, that it went into, that huge issue where nobody could get online, there was a big problem. You couldn't play with your friends. You couldn't play with your friends for 3 weeks.
But you're more forgiving when it's quote unquote free, right?
Right. Thank you, Sav. Everybody looks the other way, right? If your hamburger's burned, but they gave it to you, you're like, it was free. Right? It burned it a little bit. I asked for medium rare. I got burned.
You gave me diarrhea, but it was free.
Yeah, it's okay. I asked for ketchup. I got mustard. It's all right.
I did want to mention that point too. Now that it went from Xbox has no games to Xbox has too many games. So there should be no excuse at least on Xboxes, and there should be no excuse on their end for their first party, all the first party studios that they have for games to come out like Outriders. As we all know, Outriders came out. Look, we just saw Cognito standing in his drawers. We just saw that on Twitter like a week ago, man. And it's disappointing because Outriders is fun. I like Outriders. I bought it on PS5.
I love that. Honestly, so right after that happened to Cognito, I had some crazy bug happen to me where I went and helped Crap started playing. And he's like, hey, I jumped into his game, helped him out a little bit with my main character. And then when I went back into my game, which is this part's normal, I couldn't, it started me in his game where I left off with him. And then no matter where, I know you can go into the timeline and I could progress forward, right? So then when I went to the area on the timeline that is where I left off, when I go see, what is his name? Jacob? When I go see him to go travel back, he doesn't even have the notation to get the truck ready. We're gonna go. I can't go to any of my. I can't go to any. He does drink a lot. He does. But I can't even go back to any. So I'm kind of in the same spot as Cognito in the sense that I have my equipment, but I can only go forward. So all of the missions and all the things and all of the hunting and all of that I want to do and the most wanted, I can't do any of those, or I can't reclaim the ones that I have because I can't go back at all. It sucks. And it's like,
how you dropped the ball so bad and nothing was out? Like, I don't understand, Like, nothing is out.
That's what I'm saying. So in one way, Game Pass kind of Game Pass gave them a pass, because if that was ever just for retail, oh my God, they would have went. I think they would have went Cyberpunk 2077, and everybody had got refunds because. Well, think about it. Would you guys have asked for refunds if it wasn't Game Pass? Would you guys have asked for a refund from Outriders if you couldn't play with your friends?
I mean, a couple of days, I get it. Because
a couple of days, absolutely, no problem.
Yeah. I get that.
Couple weeks.
I've been able to. Couple of weeks, I had to get my bread back. But that's.
So I mean, listen,
but even with Cyberpunk,
Call of Duty fumbles the ball every single launch.
Absolutely. So does Destiny.
The biggest franchise in the
so does Destiny. But like Hustle said,
they do get their stuff together.
24 to 48 hours. It's not 2 weeks. I can't play Call of Duty with you.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair point.
Shout out to the great Sir X Man. He says, Mooch, the big question is, do you think Sony can afford all that licensing for the games to go to their version of Game Pass? That's the big question. Could they? Listen, I can tell you right now, they could have afforded to do something like Outriders. They could do that. Could they do, again, I use the same example because I want people to know the magnitude. They couldn't do let's put GTA 6 into our program. That ain't going to work out. Wabzilla comes back. He says, they're full of it. Only 16% of OG Xbox and 360 games are playable via back compat. Wow, Wabzilla is are you an accountant?
He's not lying.
He's an accountant. He knows his numbers. He's all over. Go ahead, Hustle.
No, I was gonna say it, and I responded to Guapzilla in the chat. First off, you got a good name, by the way, Guap.
Yeah, right.
He's not lying. It's only a few of those games, but a lot of those games that aren't back compat I think it's due to licensing issues. If I remember that research correctly, I think it's just due to licensing issues. It's a lot of stuff that you can't do. So yeah, but I mean, hats off to Microsoft still for me, and I'm not no Microsoft fanboy, but they still doing God's work out here. As far
I think that Microsoft that's the thing I think that everybody on the panel will agree with. I like that Microsoft's doing what they're doing. I don't want Microsoft to stop doing Game Pass. I don't. I think that's their niche in the gaming space.
They're not going to stop.
They're not.
That's their
Game Pass is Xbox now. You know, it is.
The box is not their platform.
That's right.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
That's right, Sav.
It actually moves. That's what I was trying to get at earlier. You know, when I think Xbox told me I was bringing up the console war stuff. I was like, no, what I'm trying to say is, them picking up ZeniMax, that is a great thing. I'm saying those games have always been great, but you know, we were talking about the pedigree of them. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to immediately everybody.
Well, when I heard Avowed, I was talking about the developers for Avowed because Mooch, you know, he said a couple things and he said Avowed.
That's
and when it comes to Avowed, we saw that trailer, but it's about the pedigree behind the developers making a game, you know, the type of game that they're known for making. And I think that's what's got people hyped for that.
Yeah, no, I agree, but
I get that, but that's a thing I'm trying to say is, right now, Bethesda has a long way to go to prove to people that they can be back to the Skyrim days of Bethesda.
Thank you. And the other point I want to bring up is a CD Projekt Red made The Witcher 3, and then look what they made.
Right. But I'm saying personally for me, I've been playing...
That's pedigree, right?
I've been playing Machine Games titles. I've been playing Arcane titles on both PlayStation, Xbox, everything else. So for me personally, I'm happy that they got picked up because I didn't want them to go the same way I didn't want Ninja Theory to go away. And now they can go back to creating what they do without having to worry about the financial part of it, right?
If you look at some of the deals they were making, like if you look at obviously Indiana Jones, right?
Right.
And I forgot what the other one was, that they were going to make something else that was licensed. It seemed like we probably wouldn't get another Dishonored or maybe another Doom or whatever, Rage, or they wouldn't take a chance on Rage because they weren't selling the way a licensed game would. So they would have definitely been a shift in the type of games you were going to see from these studios at Bethesda and ZeniMax if Microsoft hadn't picked them up. I fully believe that. I fully believe that. Because again, at the end of the day, the money matters, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And why did you get a Fallout 76? Look at where the market was. Look at where they were. And they're like, you're trying to get a game that gets people to keep coming back because that's what prints money, and that's kind of
microtransactions, right? Man. They tried to make a game that they could make money off of because they saw that's where, you know, the more popular games that were you know, coming out that people were playing had that kind of like had that structure to it, and they found out they're not really that good at it. You know,
well, and that's a really great point. Yeah, and that's a really great point, Xbot. And I don't, that's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, but you know, one of the things I was doing as I was kind of researching for this article that I put together is, you know, I was looking at like a lot of the top games from like the top publishers over the last generation, and really those second half of the generation, most of your AAA developers pivoted to like 4 or 5 different types of genres and games. And it's like, if you didn't fit into those boxes, there was like in this game of musical chairs, there wasn't really room for you. It's like either you're like an indie or you're one of these AAA gas, or unless you had like an Ubisoft or Sony kind of pedigree where, you know, whatever you put out sold, there really wasn't a lot of room. And it kind of gets back to, you know, what you guys were saying earlier with Bethesda. I don't think it was necessarily a quality thing, because if you look at like Wolfenstein was pretty well received, Dishonored was pretty well received, Evil Within, you know, was close to 80. Like those were good games. It's just I think in the market right now, it's because there's so much overload, so many options. Like consumers are just not going to take a risk with $60, $70 today, $70 when they can just go play Warzone, or they can wait for something to be on sale, or because they have these big digital backlogs. So it's like this does really open up a new paradigm, not just for the consumers, but for developers. There's a lot of them that didn't have any place. They did not really fit in. If you were like this middle tier, like you were like that step away from AAA, there really wasn't a place for you a few years ago. And I think now you're seeing that there could be, and that could exist in PS Plus as well. So, you know, and I think we keep going back and forth, and it goes back to what we were saying before. It's like we keep thinking like it's one or the other. Like, if Microsoft's Game Pass wins, does that kill Sony's model? The thing is, both things can exist. You know, Netflix blew up and people were still going to see Marvel movies at the theater up until the pandemic, right? So, you know, and I still think I think really Sony is more the Marvel movie right now, which it can still exist.
And it's funny. Go ahead, Brad. But I want to say one thing. You know, it's funny. People say that, and then they always have a like an asterisk or a caveat. They're like, you know, well, right now Sony is doing this, but, and it's the same thing. That's what I have as one of the topics here. Jim Ryan says the PS5 generation have more exclusives than any other generation. You go back again to, we got to stop. We kind of overreact, all of us. There's nobody exempt here, myself included. You can't just have one day where something happens and it's like, well, that's it. Like, remember for the past, like, what was it, 72 hours? Everybody's like, Sony's dead. Sony died, right? Everybody was done with Sony. All of a sudden, you find out about Firewalk Studios. You find out about that multiplayer that could be very big. There's a lot of big developers there from veteran teams of Bungie, etc. Then you've got another deal that's going on with Jade Raymond. Then you see something else going on. Then you see this. Then you see that. Then you see the video pass. And you're like, whoa, well, maybe Sony is doing stuff behind the scenes. Microsoft is just putting their cards on the table. And again, Microsoft has to do that. Microsoft has to do it. There's a reason they're putting their games day and date in there. There are games on Xbox One they didn't sell very well. So they have to put these games day and date into their service. Sony knows they don't have to do that. And I want to say shout out to MexJ88, and I'll give you the mic back, Brap, I promise. MexJ88 says, y'all working extremely hard to sell a rental service. If Game Pass is so great, why can't it sell itself? If Game Pass takes off, the Xbox
is selling itself.
Well,
selling itself. Trying to sell what?
Well, he's saying
who is this guy?
MexJ, listen, well, he makes a bit of a point here. There's a lot of push on social media in our world right now to get game. The minute you say, if you go on Twitter right now and put, I don't like Game Pass, watch out. So what I'm right. So if Game Pass takes off, the Xbox console is dead. He says they won't need to sell a box anymore. I'm just trying to say, like, I get where he's coming from with that. He's not exactly out in left field. Adriana Gomes says Game Pass is growing faster than PS Plus and PS Now. It is, Adriana, because it's also Microsoft's claim to fame right now, right? That's Xbox. I think everybody on the panel will agree. Go ahead, Brap. I cut you off. Then if he has something.
Yeah, to Obium's point about, you know, these two being able to coexist, be successful.
Yeah.
It's funny because we did a Brap rant this past Saturday. We had Benji Sales on and Slomo was there, and Aaron Greenberg actually hopped in the chat and he said, you know, a lot of people compare us to Sony. He's like, look, we both could be very successful,
absolutely,
in doing what we do.
Absolutely.
And he was spot on. And the pie is so big right now in gaming.
Yeah.
You think about it, like it's bigger than movies, it's bigger than music. That these two can coexist and just do their own thing. I mean, Nintendo is the example of this. Like, they don't have a robust online system. They sold cardboard to Xbox Point.
No, I didn't buy cardboard, but they did sell that to people.
But look, they don't have, you know, you want to hook up with your friends, you got to type in your social security number, you know, like they don't have this robust
social security number. That's great.
But look, they're dominating the industry. At the end of the day, it just comes down to content, you know, and these both these companies, and you know, and I understand, like, everyone feels like one needs to beat the other, and that's not the way any of this works. Like,
the industry is growing so much more too. That's the thing. Like, when you look at the research, it's not only is it bigger than movies and sports combined today. Right. The reason why all these companies are dumping tons of money into gaming right now, it is one of the safest investments. It's expected to grow, you know, as like these walls come down, as things go to streaming. And I know a lot of people, you know, in this hardcore, like our bubble, don't really believe in streaming, but you look in certain parts of the world, like that's going to expand markets to other regions that right now they're not selling any consoles to it, like neither Sony nor Microsoft. And so, you know, like right now it's a really safe investment. It's going to grow a lot. It's already huge, and so there's room for. It's not a winner take all. In fact, once you start removing the console from the equation, it's going to give people more ability to be in more ecosystems, just like they're in multiple TV streaming ecosystems.
Well,
So,
don't
like,
forget
that's the
too,
thing,
OBM. OBM. The one thing we do have to keep into consideration is right now we are still, even though like Brap was saying earlier, and people are getting vaccinated, and it's fantastic. I recommend you do. And you go out and everybody kind of get back into what they're doing again. But the thing is we're still in a pandemic. And right now, I wouldn't, because the one thing you said that I don't get me wrong, I'm sure OBM has the numbers. He's a numbers guy. He's always got numbers. So I'm not going to say OBM's wrong, but I will say this much. I wouldn't necessarily say that gaming is a safe bet, because there's a lot of games that don't do well. We only talk about the great ones.
It was growing before the pandemic. It was already.
It was growing, but you understand what I'm trying to say? I wouldn't say it's no risk.
Nothing's 100%.
Right.
Like there's no such thing as a sure bet. But I will say this: after the pandemic, Mooch, like to your point, I know where you're going with that. Let me tell you something: the industries are going to be booming after the pandemic's over. Cocaine, hookers, and gambling.
He's doing it again.
No, I mean, you watch. I'm telling
Brap's going to open up a Studio 54.
Yo, Mooch, real quick. If I could respond to the super chat where they're talking about Game Pass rental service, not buying a box, and here's the thing, and like you guys don't have to agree with it, but when it comes to Xbox, what they're looking at, they have the Xbox platform on multiple platforms. They have Game Pass on PC, of course, streaming to mobile and console. The way that they see it, and this is the way I am as well. All right, I'm a console gamer. I play on console. I like the console. That's where I play. They're looking at it as if you are a console gamer, then you are going to pick up a console and play. All right, you're going to have Game Pass on your console and play.
Right.
I know there's people on the panel here. There's probably people in the chat. It's like, well, I have a PC that's more than capable. Why not just use Game Pass PC and play their games there? And they're saying, well, that's fine because you're playing our games there. But there are console gamers out there, and we're hoping to entice them with this service. They're already going to buy a console. We want to make it Xbox so they can play Game Pass on the Xbox as well. They're not looking at it like, at least in the short term, they're not looking at it as, getting rid of the box or anything like that. I'm sure long term, I believe both these companies would love to do away with the research and development and all that good stuff. And if they can just get to the profit of the software and subscription services without putting in the money to make a box, I'm pretty sure all these companies would do that. All right. But that's not what they're looking at least in the short term right now. It's if you're a console gamer, you're looking for a console, and they're using Game Pass to entice you to get that console. So that's what they're doing.
MexJD8. It's all about choice.
On that with Xbox for a minute.
Go ahead, E.
I don't want to agree with them because the console as we know it may continue to evolve, but I'm kind of in agreement with him that it won't completely go away because as long as you have cheap parents and kids, they're going to always want an option that's not PC.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah. These people like Brap get caught up in this whole, PC thing.
Whoa.
Whoa.
PC had a PC for 2 weeks. And
I've had PC longer than 2 weeks, sir.
Those aimbots.
I don't like this PC slander.
Not everybody likes the challenge of aimbots like Brap does. So
hey, let me tell you something. That
not everybody likes troubleshoot gaming.
Troubleshoot gaming. It's true.
Troubleshoot gaming.
It is true to a certain extent. You know that, Brap.
I felt like mouse and keyboard is for doing your taxes. But anyways, that's besides the point.
Oh, come on.
Can't argue
Sorry.
that.
I had to jump in. I mean,
you know what? Wait, you guys tell me how you like paying $70 for games. We're still paying $60 on PC.
Oh wow, Brap.
Hey, we got
105.
Nice rebuttal, Brap.
Hey, Mooch.
It sounds like middle-aged gaming needs to build a PC rig. If you ask me.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, you know what?
I mean, you know what? A couple bucks.
Mag, he's not wrong.
I know.
Mooch,
Go ahead, Obi.
Mag, we got emulators. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, let's not go. Let's not go there.
But
go ahead, Obi.
Oh no, I was waiting for everybody to take a deep breath because I wanted to actually push back on something you said a little bit earlier. And
Sure.
I heard it on a few different shows, and since I'm finally on the show today, I wanted to kind of address it.
Let's go.
But, so what you were talking about earlier when you said that like Microsoft had to put their games into to Game Pass because of where they were in quality.
I didn't say in quality, I said in sales.
Well, yeah, in sales, so both of those things. So, one thing I wanted to just, as a data and analytics guy, so when you look at the cost of AAA games, like most of them, if you look it up, it's about $100 million per, somewhere in that ballpark, right? They say like maybe Last of Us 2 would be in that high end for $200 million,
right?
When Microsoft spent $7.5 billion on ZeniMax, like
Yes.
they could have funded either like 37 Last of Us 2s, or they could have, it could have been 75 other AAA games.
That's right.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, when you look at the budgets for things like Netflix, for Amazon, for any of those, it is really the tentpole games that really do move it. Like, if you look at the trajectory of Netflix, they went from 30 to 70 million over a few years once their movies started getting awards, right? Like once they what do you call it? I can't remember their first ones that were hitting the awards, but once they started hitting the awards, that's when they exploded. And so the reason I mention that is because it's not just for Microsoft, but it's also what Sony has today. So I've heard some of the arguments of why Sony should jump in now is because they do have such a high mind share, because their games do have that ability to push people into a service like that by tens of millions and things. And it's not a way to pivot from the traditional model because it's not working.
Right.
When the traditional model was working, Microsoft was still locked in, they were still locking Xbox in their basement. The reason they're pivoting this way is because subscriptions make a shit ton more money and they're a lot more stable long term. So I do think at some point, and this is going back to what we're talking about with Sony, it does make sense for them to pivot in that. I don't think they're as agile and they're a more conservative company, but I would push back against anybody that says because they make these giant games, they shouldn't put them in they shouldn't try to go towards a subscription. I think that's the reason why they're in a unique position now because of that. And if they ever were going to aggressively go, now's probably as good a time when you start talking about the quality of their games, because
that's not. I mean, you're not OBM. You're not wrong in your assessment there at all. I don't think. Listen, it's the same thing that I said with they have the recipe. So if they want to go ahead and sell them individually the way that they're doing, not in a service, they can do it. And if they want to put it in a service, they also can do it. They're in the drive. They're in the driver's seat. So whatever they're going to do, people can complain on the internet or say whatever they want. If you want to play I'm just making this up, but if you want to play The Last of Us 3, you're going to play it where Sony. That's what I'm trying to say. They know that because they have I'm joking around with Last of Us 3, but they have The Last of Us. They have Uncharted. They have the Ratchet and Clank. They have these.
Last of Us 3. Confirmed.
They have games. They have games though that people will go to where they put them. Microsoft, as the end of last generation kind of came and went, they didn't. And that's the problem. They didn't have people saying, like I think Sav that asked, like, how many people here went and raced out to buy Crackdown 3? No one, right? Nobody, that's the thing. So my point being is that, and it doesn't matter if Game Pass was there or not. If Game Pass wasn't there, Crackdown 3 still probably wouldn't have done very well. So that's what I'm trying to say. So my point is, Sony, you're right, OBM. Sony's in the driver's seat. Now, whether they want to capitalize that and put that money and that hype into subscriptions, they can do that. If they also want to do it traditionally and they're finding that they're making more money, listen, they're double dipping right now. They're double dipping. They're making an absolute plethora off of everybody on the console. And then what do? 24 months, 36 months later, they put it on PC. They double dip. Microsoft could have double dipped because people were not playing Halo and Gears on PC at all. Zero. Remember, let's not play Monday Morning Quarterback and say, oh, we know. We didn't know. Nobody on PC was playing those games. Microsoft could have said Gears 5 will come out on Xbox at this time and then 12 months later on PC. And PC players would have been like, yeah, we never played Gears. We'll take it. They didn't know. Yeah. Now you say day and date, you can't step backwards. Now you're in there. Sony is going to do it differently. Now, can they do what you said? OBM, I'm right there with you. But again, that they don't have to. They've got the games and they've got the name and they have the mindshare. They've got everything going for them. Could they do that? I think they would make a fortune on subscription.
And that's the thing. I think when you look at the money proposition, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like OBM said, to me, it's a no-brainer. Like, do you pay $70 one time for The Last of Us 3, or do you pay $10 or $15 a month in perpetuity for it?
Saab, but here's the question again. If you want to have, and you know this, right? You want to have that amazing dinner with your wife on your or your better half on a anniversary. You know, you could take her to Wendy's, right? But you don't. Why not, dude? It's a hamburger, right? Why don't you take it? Wait, you don't take. Wait, you don't take. Wait, no, you don't take her to a buffet. Wait, you don't take her. You don't take her.
Stay that way.
You don't take her to a buffet, right?
$15 a month because they're getting you in the long term. So
I get it. I get it.
Giving you the filet mignon, little piece by piece by piece by piece by piece.
No, fair enough, Sav. But at the same time, you know, Last of Us 3 wouldn't be the only game in there.
Right.
Like you look at Game Pass, for example, like some people say that to me now. Like I was talking to somebody else the other day on Twitter about it, and they're like, oh, but you're still paying for MLB The Show because you're going to be playing it for the next 6 months. Well, they got you anyway. And I'm like, Game Pass just does not have MLB The Show. You know, there's 399 other games in there. Some of them I play. Mind you, to be fair, 75% of them I don't even look at. Or being a hardcore, I've already finished those games. So I look at those, I'm like, all right, finish that.
It's probably higher than 75.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It is.
But you know, like either I have no interest in or I completed. But however, there's more than just that one game. So now the thing is, it's not now that we're going to be talking about. The true litmus test is going to be next year when they start dropping first party and third party.
Right.
And then that's when they start making those deals. For example, if you find Battlefield 6, which is of course the big rumor right now. Okay, talk to some big guys.
Right.
They're all saying that it's most likely going to happen. You talk about Battlefield 6 in Game Pass. That's going to put one hell of a dent into the fall lineup when it comes against Call of Duty. Now, or if you want to balance it out on a seesaw here for 1 second, that actually might benefit Call of Duty because you know why? Because now everybody can play Battlefield essentially for free if you've already paying for the service.
Right.
That just freed up your money to buy Call of Duty full price. Yeah. So that's what I was trying to equate.
That's a good point.
Yo, guys,
that's a good point.
You know what's going on here? The reason, my bad. The reason why these subscription services is going to be a success, and the reason why Sony is going to do it as well. If you look at what's going on and how people consume today's entertainment, the majority of it is subscription-based services.
Pandemic.
Not only that
people were going out to movie theaters. People, no.
Well, before the pandemic,
it's not the truth. We're rolling everything into this because we've been stuck at home for 18 months. Now it's either subscription or you don't get it at all.
Can I just real quick? Just when another thing that comes down to it is these companies are grouping up their games, grouping up their first party, group up their third party as well. And you also see what's the most popular thing in gaming right now. It's that season pass model. All right. And it might not be to a T, but what they're doing is they're grouping up their games and they're using something similar to that season pass model. The you know, what is the most popular thing right now in gaming, and they're using that to create a service that people are going to pay for monthly, the same way that people, you know, spend all this money on battle passes, usually for multiple games as well, because like I know Fortnite players that also buy you know, the season pass for Apex as well and stuff. They really put down money on that stuff, and they're using that model and they're grouping up games and they're gonna rake in the revenue from that. This is kind of like the newer direction that you know, video game industry is going, bro.
I hear you. I got a couple of super chats here that I totally missed, and I apologize. I don't know if I read MexJD. He says PS5 is the market leader, and this week proved it. Commands the mind share as well, which I did want to get into with you guys. We're running a little bit low on time here. Phoenix 420. I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. PS Collection equals quality. Game Pass equals stank. He says he's not a big fan, apparently. PS Collection is way better than anything on Game Pass. No serial game price in here. So he's basically not a big fan of that. Sir X Man, the great Sir X Man, pardon me. All 360 Call of Duty Online work the truth. That was back when we were talking about the Outriders. I apologize. We're a little delayed here. Smokes 901 is back. He says, at the end of the day, let the games do the talking. Vote with your wallet. That's the only way to get any change. Smoke right again. Andy Hart says, has Sony got rights on Resident Evil 8? No demo on Xbox. They have marketing rights. I don't think they have anything beyond that. Adriana Gomes comes back and says, what new game has Sony put in PS Plus day one? I don't think any that I'm aware of. Please correct me if I'm wrong, by the way. Kip,
Snacks, I think.
What was it, Mag?
Bug Snacks. It was
Bug Snacks.
No,
That was
PS
the only
Now.
one, but
PS
Destruction
Now.
All-Stars.
Oh, she said PS Plus. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. That was
Destruction All Stars too. Yeah.
Destruction All Stars. Bug Snacks. The Odd World.
Oddworld, yeah.
Hopefully, Kira,
yeah,
Bridge of
Oddworld, yeah.
Spirits.
My apologies.
Thank
I
you.
Sony.
For some reason I thought it was.
Thank you. Kenna should be in there.
Come on, Kenna. Bridge
We'll
of
see if
Spirits. You
Kenna
can do it,
goes in
baby.
there.
You
That'll
can
be
do it.
nice. That'd be sweet.
That'd be very
Keop901, he says accessibility is what I love about Microsoft's reach to billions of gamers. I hope Nintendo and Sony expand their ecosystem. Not every gamer games on console. That's very true as well. But I mean, let's kind of get into that a little bit here. I want to kind of just move slightly over to what Sony has been doing the past couple of weeks. We did do a 1 hour infomercial for Game Pass. That was fantastic. Right, we're just keeping up with everybody.
You're welcome.
Well, just joining the trends, right?
Yes, I'm doing whatever. It's great. It's great. But Sony did announce their partnership with Firewalk Studios, that ex-Bungie dev, for exclusive multiplayer. We've been giving Sony a lot of crap for not having a multiplayer game, right? And I mean, this is. Did anything happen, Sav? I'll go to you first. Sav, do you think anything happened this week where maybe last week you were like, man, Sony really did take their foot off the pedal, and maybe now they're just they just kind of they advertise differently. It's a different form of propaganda for them.
I mean, I think with these two announcements, certain things that I'm seeing kind of trending with them is the fact that this game has the sort of the development pedigree that it does. The people at what's the name of the studio? The Firewalk Studio.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about that is that the pedigree of the people at that studio makes me think, A, that's a huge game, right? It's not a small game.
That's what I was thinking.
B, it's a game as service, I think. Game as service in that it feels like they got people together that can make a game that can live in perpetuity on the PlayStation platform. I don't think they intend for this to go anywhere else. Maybe PC in the future. But something that they can make money off of in perpetuity. I don't think it's a one and done game, whatever it is, right? Yeah. And that's interesting to me because this is really the first time that I've seen them want to sort of get into that, where it's like, okay, we have the single player stuff. You know, people will play that 1 to 3 times and then put it away, no matter how great the game is. We need something that's going to create revenue for us continuously. We've seen all the missteps that everybody else who's gone games as a service has had up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can figure it out on this end. So that's interesting to me. What's also interesting when you look at the stuff with the show, you know, they said, we didn't know that MLB was making that Game Pass deal with Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you look at the show
mm-hmm.
and how you progress in certain aspects of the show, whether it's Road to the Show or stuff like that,
mm-hmm.
there's been a change as to how you're able to progress. Well, you can do it. You can progress without spending money, to be clear, but they've made it so much easier to do it while spending money. That the people that engage in the Diamond Dynasty stuff and the Road to the Show stuff, one other, I forgot the other mode. They've made it so it kind of functions more as a game as a service in a way that it's not a quality of life change. So it's a change that was specifically made to make it more like a game as service. So it's interesting to me that they're kind of doing this with this franchise. The first time that it's on an Xbox console, and it's going to be anywhere else. And you know,
mm-hmm.
we can assume that it's going to be whatever. There's going to be a Switch version. There's going to be a PC version at some point.
Right.
So it does feel to me like they are, you know, if you think about Jim Ryan and the expectation that he's a money guy, he's a business guy.
Yes.
He wants to grow the business of PlayStation. He's
yes.
not as invested in, you know, the core, what the core gamer wants. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense that a lot of stuff that we're going to be hearing from them, it's going to be big. It's going to be for them. And he doubled down on the exclusivity stuff.
Right.
But I think there's going to be a shift in this thinking that PlayStation doesn't have multiplayer stuff. When Microsoft talks about engagement, that matters. It does matter to have just people engaging in your ecosystem, doing whatever, whether they're playing games, doing whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, as great as the PS4 was, for me, you know, and I don't know that's not everybody's case, but for me, it was like when their AAA bangers come out, I'm there. And after that, it's collecting dust. And my third party stuff was elsewhere on either PC or Xbox. So to me, they have their, this thing that PlayStation is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, that they're not going to be giving gamers the types of games that they would expect. I think if there's anything we could believe that comes out of Jim Ryan's mouth, is that those games are coming, and we're going to see a shift and a balancing out of what we consider to be a PlayStation type game.
Yo, Saab.
Yeah, I like
Saab,
what you said about that.
What you just said actually caters to me, because one thing, and I know Sony games have had multiplayer and stuff like that, but having multiplayer like as the foundation of a game is something that I felt personally that PlayStation needed to do.
They got away from completely.
They needed to kind of focus back in on that. And I'm not saying take away from the single player kind of like heavy story driven narrative or anything like that. But you got to add to that. You got to add to that plate on the table, man. You got to make it a
well,
full,
it depends.
meal,
I think what you're saying. So first of all, with MLB,
I'm saying for me.
No, that's fine, Xbot. I think, but you have to kind of step back. And Sav, what you're saying may happen in the future. But like when you look at like they made Uncharted, right? And they had an Uncharted multiplayer, and then that I personally didn't care for it myself. But like the whole thing about it is that like I think what they're doing now with like this Firewalk team is this is a dedicated multiplayer only. I think they're trying to. I dare not use any type of words like Destiny or anything of that massive size, but something decent. That is a PlayStation exclusive that you have to have a PlayStation 4 or be somewhere, wherever their ecosystem grows into, whatever it is, you have to be a part of it to play. And that's what they're going to have dedicated multiplayer. I don't know if you're going to see like, and they are doing factions, that's like the worst kept secret. So they're doing some of this stuff, but I don't know if some of their single player like Xbox, and maybe if I'm speaking incorrectly about what you just said, Xbox, let me know. But I don't think they have to have if Uncharted 5 comes out, they don't need to have an Uncharted 5 multiplayer. They don't have to do that. But they do need to tap into that resource. You're right, because that's like free money for them right now that they've literally left on the table.
Yeah, they got to come out. In my personal opinion here, and I know people in the chat, they're going to skip by that I said that, but my personal opinion is like not take away from the single player experiences, or not even tack on or add a multiplayer to like existing franchises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But have a multiplayer or have games that are focused on multiplayer. And if you look at today's gaming, right? Developers, studios, publishers, they want to get into that Fortnite era. They want to get into that Destiny era. They want games that are gonna produce revenue over the long term. They want this. Like, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And to see them coming out and announcing that they're gonna have multiplayer focused games, with this kind of like what they're doing here with this game. I mean, that puts a smile on my face. I'm like, all right, finally they're doing
I was shocked.
I have said that they have needed to do for a while now.
They've been foreshadowing this for 3 years, actually. Like if you I don't know if any of you guys I actually went and looked it up while you guys were talking, because I remembered them saying something about this a few years ago. I'll just kind of read one of their executives said, hardware sales are still important, but the number of monthly active users is getting more relevant alongside PlayStation Plus subscribers and how much time they spend on Sony services and consoles. We also hear that third-party sales of in-game items and content is very significant for Sony as well. On the first-party side, compared to other companies, the proportion of in-game sales is still relatively low, but under Kodera-san's leadership, they're going to explore appropriate exploration and decisions taken in the future. So that was 3 years ago. They've also, I think they've hired guys from the Rainbow Six Siege team. I mean, you just look at the trends in the industry. It's just too much money to leave on the table. The multiplayer stuff, the gas stuff, pays for like everything else for everybody else.
Yeah.
And for Sony to kind of keep putting all their eggs in that single player basket. The problem is like if that trend, because gamers kind of go with trends sometimes, right? Like like at one point in time, everybody was trying to be Halo. And so like right now it is a Sony game, but you don't know that Sony game is going to be is going to pull in the same numbers
2-3 years from now. It could be something else. So they do need to diversify, and they've been kind of foreshadowing it for 3 years. And I think now we're starting to see it.
And the other thing too, to OBM's point, if they do, assuming this is a multiplayer PvP type game,
yes,
I don't foresee this being exclusive only on PlayStation 5. I think for them to make sense to kind of get that broader audience, because they're going to potentially be competing against free to play games like Fortnite, Warzone, for the in that multiplayer space, which are free games, which are on multiple devices, platforms. I could see them putting this game on PC and maybe even mobile devices. Even though Sony is, Sony's not a stranger to mobile per se.
Right.
They are making some content or games that are specific for mobile, but I could see a situation where it's a combination of all three: PS5, PC, and then mobile, to generate what OBM's talking about, that high level user engagement and that revenue, recurring revenue that will potentially fund other games or other projects in the future for them.
Enrique.
Didn't
I
they
don't
also
think they're
move
done.
to
I don't think they're done either. Real quick, I think they were talking about didn't somebody tease SOCOM yesterday?
Yeah, I saw that.
PlayStation Australia
Yes.
said something about SOCOM, and so I've heard that SOCOM rumor I heard the rumor about 6-7 months ago that one of the studios, I don't know who it is working on SOCOM, but Jeff Grubb brought up a point because I asked him about the SOCOM thing, and he's like, "Well, I haven't heard about it yet." But he said for if they did SOCOM, it'd be a situation too where for them to do it, because of how multiplayer games have evolved since SOCOM, its heyday was really PlayStation 2. Then it'd have to be on multiple devices. So I don't know. Maybe this is SOCOM. Who knows?
I want to say this. Last generation PlayStation, first of all, they need this. Like, this not even the discussion. They definitely need it. I hopped on, what was that, The Last of Us, extremely late, the way like the people were so good. It was like $999, and they had all the marks. And
they had all the marks on the side.
It was too late. It was too late. Look, it's going to be. Enrique, I wanted to piggyback off your point. It's going to be on PC. They just gave Epic another $200 million. Was it last week or the week before last?
250.
250 million. Yeah, pardon me. So that's 450 million in total. So it's definitely going to PC,
I think we're all past the whole like whether it be a multiplayer game, a hustle like you're saying, and it goes to PC day and date with as far as that is concerned, that I could see happening with a multiplayer game.
I mean, Mooch, why wouldn't you put your games on PC? It's the best platform to play games, man.
So do you guys think it's an Epic Game Store thing? Because I mean, everything else is coming to Steam, or do you think it's an Unreal Engine thing? So what do you think that investment is actually?
Sav, I think it's a combination of everything, man. I think it's an Unreal Engine thing. I think it's an Epic Stores thing. And I also think like Sony could sit there and maybe go to smaller studios and say, hey, we can put your game on PC. We can get you, a sweet deal with Epic, right, as opposed to Steam, because we all know about the cut that Epic gets, right, versus Steam.
Yes,
right.
So I could see that. I could see them leveraging that as
I definitely could see that.
Yeah, to get other studios to put games exclusive on PlayStation 5, but also saying, hey, you know what, we got this PC storefront for you under Epic, and you're going to get that deal that other developers get by going there.
That's a good question though from Sav though. Like, what is that? What is the end game with the Epic and Sony thing? Like, is it that they're going to collaborate on the technology end of it, or are they going to work together with their storefronts? I mean, there's so many different ways.
I think it's all above Mooch, because Microsoft has this PC storefront per se, right? Like we know they're going to like reinvest in Windows, the Windows Store again, and as poo-poo as that is. And interestingly enough, Bethesda, even after the acquisition, is building out their PC storefront. I don't know what that means or what that's gonna how that's gonna look, but you got to believe that it's going to be something PC related, storefront related, that benefits Sony. It's the only reason why I think they would invest that kind of money in them.
I don't want to say this though. We got to remember that Steam, if you want your games to go on Steam, it's like a 30-day. Like, you can wait 30 days, but then you have to put it on Steam. But if you're not willing to wait those 30 days, then it won't go over there.
Okay.
I don't think it will be very smart for a PlayStation to put whatever this new multiplayer game is only on Epic, because it just something isn't about that isn't right. Now we know PlayStation just they just got like $1 billion from all the investors and everything. But keep in mind, they lost $300 million like right before that. I think it was like a day before that they had reported they lost like 300 million, and then that's when PlayStation pulled back up with the 250 million and all that. But it's just that's going to be a thing. But PlayStation definitely needs this. Like I said, I wanted to say this earlier. Why does it seem like one company gets one thing right and then they just fuck up in like another place? Like they only had like however many multiplayer games last year, whether it was Last of Us, Uncharted, what have you, right? And they had the single player on lock. Microsoft, for better or for worse, and I'm a Gears fan, and it's pretty bad right now, but Microsoft seemed like they had all the like multiplayer stuff on lock and not so much the single player. And it looks like the tide is turning in both of their favors.
Listen,
can somebody get it all the way?
That's interesting. I always had the conspiracy theory that these guys get together and every single, I'm telling you, it's because,
WWE match.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's
Let me tell you something, brother.
it really does feel like, because when they step on the rake, they step on the rake in the most asinine ways that you're like, you didn't see this coming? Like,
does nobody pick up the phone and
tone deaf that it's like,
referee gets knocked out at just the right moment.
Exactly. No, it just honestly, it really does feel like they purposely say, hey, we're gonna have this ebb and flow to the gaming industry where both of us are going to be teetering on shit at some point, and both of us are going to come back in some way, shape, or form, and we're just going to keep this flow going up and down. And to me, it's just funny, right?
It is.
I don't think that's the case, but it does keep gaming in the conversation in a way that it might not if everything was just hunky-dory all the time with both of them, right? It's, I think as a community, like the level of engagement we get just from the news we get on a daily basis, it's kind of bonkers. There's no other hobby that I think has this many talking points.
Sav, I've said that also. I said there's no business like the gaming business. There's nothing like this ever, where there's just so many elevator rides up and down, up and down. You have a good day, then you're like, what the hell? Like, I mean, everything that Sony's
outside of politics, I would say politics is probably.
Second
to the gaming industry.
Yeah, they're right there. They are right there. But like, even you say, like, I know there's limitations put into sports. I get that. But like, realistically speaking, like, if you have a wealthy team, you say like the Yankees or the Mets or another big market team like LA's kind of doing it, by the way. You can go out there and just go buy everybody or get whoever you want. I know there's caps, but the problem with the caps is you can exceed them in MLB, and then you just pay a luxury tax, et cetera, et cetera. But my point is, those guys that are rich, they know, let's just go spend that. We'll pay the tax, and we'll still make twice the money we ever would have made. You know what I mean? So we'll get championships. And these guys could do the same thing. Like you said, Sony could capitalize on certain things. Microsoft could definitely dominate the entire playing field, which, again, it goes full circle back to what we said many conversations ago tonight, which I don't want. I don't ever want. I know a lot of people root for this because they root for their team. And don't get me wrong, I get that. I'm not telling you have to stop rooting, but just be wary. You don't want one company to own everything and every entity, because it's not good for us. It's not good for the consumer. That being said, since we went full circle, I will say I kept this entire panel hostage well over the 2-hour mark. And I appreciate all you guys on the panel spending time with us here tonight, and not with your families. But I will say this much. It has been an absolute honor to do this show with you guys. It has been a fantastic conversation. And let me tell you something. That's why we call it Crossfire and not Kumbaya. There's a reason for that, okay? We were deliberating that. We thought maybe that would work. And I said, we'll go Crossfire. That being said, I want to go in reverse order here. I'm going to say thanks, everybody. Actually, and before I do that, the great Sir X-Man did come back and say, World of Warcraft, EverQuest, we've had service games before with monthly fees, but a lot of people don't remember. So shout out to the great Sir X-Man. And Kiop901 said exactly what Brap and OBM Sovereign were just saying. He said next gen SOCOM coming to PS5 and PC. So shout out to both of you guys for those super chats. Thank you so much. And thanks to the chat and the super chats. Outstanding tonight. A good friend of all of ours, Fat Nuts, who donated, right? Isn't that great? Great name.
Greatest name in the history of names.
It really is. Shout out to Fat Nuts. Fat Nuts donated a 14-day code for Game Pass. Now, it's one of those Game Pass codes that you get when you buy a controller. If anybody knows on the panel, please let me know. Is that something where if you are already an existing Game Pass subscriber, you can't tack the 14, or if you ever had it before, you can't use it, or can you use it at any point in time? Do you guys know that? You guys know those codes we get?
The 14s are. I don't think they work if you've had like a 3-month like the 14 days. I think the single month and like the 14-day stuff. If you've ever had like a 3-month pass, I think it kind of locks you out of that. I think.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna post it in the chat in a few moments here. But let me say this much: I'm gonna go in reverse order here and just say shout out and thanks to Lord Sovereign for being here. Sov, listen, I got news for you. I don't care if I got to get on the mic with you right after this and book you for 2023. We're gonna do it, buddy. It's been an absolute honor to have you here. Always love it when the Lords come and visit us here on CrossFire. Like I say, great intuition and everything, great perspective on every single topic. Let people know where they can find you, and I am very excited for your next return to CrossFire.
Thank you, my brother. It's been a pleasure to be here. Like I said, it has been way, way too long. We're definitely going to do this more often.
Yes.
I love this format because it's funny because I forgot how thorough you are, right? So when you sent the list of the topics, I'm like, oh man, we're going to be here 10 hours. This is great. But then you forget that like once the conversation gets going, like
they roll.
We'll be lucky we get through too. Like
that's right. That's true. That too. And it's funny you say that. So shout out to the great Noof Nukem who's in the chat earlier. Mag, you know this. Noof actually does something similar, Sav. He'll send you out if you're doing his podcast. He'll send you out Gaming After Dark. He'll send you a about 10 also. And so we were there, and it was 2 hours in, and I said, well, sometimes you just don't get to all the topics. I'm thinking that in my head. Nope, not on that show. Noof decided we were going to go through every single. If I was to go through every topic I still have here, you guys would literally not see your families until at least the middle of summer. So, no, Sav, honestly, that's outstanding compliment. Thank you so much, buddy.
But I love what you got here, man. Like I said, when it comes to somebody who's always there for the community, first person in line to wish someone well or a shoulder to cry on, it's you, man. And that's a special thing. And the rest of the guys here, it's all family. Like when the Lord say you guys are family, we mean you guys are family. We've all come up together and grown together. And it's just a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for having me.
Lord Sovereign, thank you so much. Honestly, those kind words, and it's funny because you say those very, very kind words about me, but I got to be honest with you, you guys do the exact same thing. And I want to do a special shout out to Lord Cognito. I mean, Cognito does that. What you said that I do, honestly, we all learned a lot from Cognito with that. Cognito really reached out, across the aisle there with Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC. Doesn't matter. Even if you don't game, don't matter, right? We are all people. We all hang out. We are a community. It doesn't matter what you like, what you don't like. I love doing talk shows because I think that it does bring people together. You just because you don't agree with me, I got to be honest with you. Tonight is another great example where I come into the show thinking one thing and I leave the show thinking something else. And that's because of Sav. It's because of E. It's because of Hustle. It's because of One Bad Mother. And it's definitely because of Mag telling me it's $7,000 to play Tetris in Canada. I didn't want to, I wasn't moving to Canada because of the cold, but now you really talked me out of it, Mag. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter, man. We are from all different backgrounds, and that's what makes this so great. So, Sav, thanks for those kind words, and I do want to say shout out to the Lords because of all the great work that you guys do in the community as well. So, thank you, Sav.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, brother. And then I've got my boy here, One Bad Mother. Well, OBM, I got to be honest with you. Usually a guy comes on for the first time, he's a little quiet, this and that. You were breaking out analytics. Great to have you. OBM, outstanding, buddy.
I don't know if that's a good fit.
It's great.
I told Enrique that before. I said, I don't know if I'm a good fit for this because I'm breaking out the numbers, the spreadsheets, and the charts.
Which I told him I'd go get the perfect guest.
The GamePass professor is here.
No, OBM, outstanding to have you, buddy. You can bring bring your talents. That's the thing. You bring your talents to CrossFire, and you certainly did that tonight. I know that I don't believe you do a podcast, but if you do, I certainly would listen. But let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me, Mooch. And I've talked to you a couple times before. And,
That's right.
One of the things I really appreciate about you is that you are somebody that we can have a discussion, can disagree, and it's like there's absolutely no emotional.
No.
And I think that's something that everybody should be able to learn from. We should be able to talk, and especially about games. Like shit, if you can't disagree about gaming and
it's a great point.
without fighting each other and becoming tribal about it, then what are you going to be able to talk about in this life? So I do appreciate that. I appreciate that example. It was a lot of fun being on today. I think the only thing that would make it better next time is to bring the hot tub and a bowl of Chipotle, but we'll have to figure that out next time. But where you can find me, I actually started doing some content creation with Xbox Era. I just actually released today a video and an article called GamePass Netflix a Game. So look that up. It's got some other stats and graphs in there for all you guys, for the handful of you out there that might be into that. Also, you can find me on Twitter at OneBadMother at mother_1. And again, thanks again. It was a lot of fun, and also the entire panel. It was great being here with all of you guys.
OBM, thank you, buddy. It won't be your last time. I appreciate that. And then I got my buddy here, Mag, middle-aged game guy. Sure. Outstanding to have Mag here. Mag, listen, I got news for you. We proved that we're literally two people. What an amazing thing. I never thought we could do the technology today. But Mag, honestly, it's outstanding to have your energy, your electric, and just your pure honesty, man. That's what really, really comes forth when you speak. And I know you do a great Tony Baloney as well. But nonetheless, buddy, outstanding to have you here. Let everyone know where they can find you, and it certainly will not be your last time on Crossfire tonight.
Wow, thank you very much, Mooch, for the opportunity. Like I said, this is one of the first podcasts I ever listened to, was listening to you, and then here I was, so it was like a dream come true. And guys, Brap, Eric, Hustle, what do we got? OBM here, and then of course introducing. Yeah, we got Lord Sovereign. What an outstanding! It's always an honor to work with the ILP, man. The only one left I got is King David. Is the only one I haven't been able to do show with. But anyways, guys, it was amazing chat. You guys were awesome. Even some of the guys that came after me, it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. But anyhow, you can find me on Twitter at the middle-aged game guy. That's with a GY at the end. On the PS5 and on the Xbox Series X, you can find me at all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag. That's with 2 G's. And of course, that's if you ever want to watch any of my other shows, you can watch me with Mr. Boomstick XL Monday nights on Primetime Gaming, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then Tuesday nights with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday evenings. Guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Anytime you want me, I will be back. Have a great night.
Appreciate that, Mag. Thank you very much. And then the man himself, the audio man himself, the man that makes me sound like I'm on helium, the great Hustle and Motivate. Hustle, It is outstanding to have you here, buddy. You have no idea. I know you got a lot going on, buddy. I know you have a ton going on. You're growing the channel. You're doing outstanding work. But you took some time tonight to come over and hang out with us. Let people know where they can find you, and please keep up that outstanding work.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Hey, Hustle and Motivate across all platforms. Hey, real quick though, I just want to say, united we stand. And eventually, what's going to have to happen is, like, they can't deny us for too much longer. Like, everybody's out here making their own moves and strides and what have you. They can't. Hey, look, man. Jeezy said it best. You can't ban the snowman. Now, for everybody who don't understand that reference, Young Jeezy put out a mixtape, yada, yada, yada. My point is this. We all work, and we all working together, man. Like, they can't help but see us now. Like, everybody sees us. Like, everybody sees what's going on. So I just want to say thank you once again, Mooch. A lot of times when you hit me up, I'm like, I might be busy, but sometimes you got to take the time to make the time.
I appreciate that.
And not only will I do it for y'all and everybody else on the panel, Enrique, we're going to have to work something out, my friend. We're going to have to work something out. It's been too long since I've been on Brap. It's been too long. It's been too long, but
it has been too long, but we didn't get you back on, man.
Yeah. We don't worry. That's something in the works. Thank y'all for having me. I'll be back at some point, I'm sure. But hey, YouTube.com/Hustle and Motivate. I will probably more than likely be streaming in about a half an hour. So look forward to that. And if not, just go ahead and poke your head in on your boy one time. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking for is an opportunity. That's just about it, man.
That's right. Honestly, you know what? That opportunity. Give everybody one shot. Give them that one shot. You know what they say? You got your 15 seconds. Now go. And when you do it, let me tell you something, Hustle. I've stopped into all your shows. They're fantastic, man. So let people spread the word. We will spread it here on Crossfire. Appreciate you being here, Hustle. I do want to say I am dropping the 14-day Game Pass code for all of you guys that hung out this long, courtesy of Fat Nuts. There it is, folks. It's in the chat. Feel free to let me know if you want it.
If you just wanted to repeat who gave
that's
the code over.
fat. That's PH. Fat Nuts. Yes.
Fat Nuts, please come to one of my shows, please.
Buddy, he's fantastic.
Yeah, Fat Nuts, I want to see you in the ILP chat. I need to say that name out loud.
I need to hear Lord Sovereign say it on Sundays, man. Right after Lord Roughness.
Lord Roughness and Mass Erect.
Mass Erect. And I want Fat Nuts. And rubber nub, yeah.
That's too good. Too good. Shout out to Fat Nuts. That's great. And then I've got my buddy here, the voice of reason, the man. And thank God he was here because Xbot was going in on the Mooch. And he said, listen, Mooch, do me a favor. Go get yourself a Gatorade. I got it from here. It was outstanding as usual to have you on here. Let people know where they can find you. And I can't wait till you have another Friday free.
Well, first, let me say another great Crossfire. Thanks for having me. I mean, this panel, man, fantastic. So many great perspectives, so many great opinions, and yeah, just a wealth of gaming knowledge in one place. So it's been great, man, and I appreciate you having me. Couldn't make it last week. Happy I can make it this week, but you know, man, I'll come whenever you come.
Appreciate
whenever
that.
you call. I should say.
Absolutely. I try to give you a breaky.
No, man, you can always hit me up, man. You know, if I can make it, I'll definitely make it. We don't always get the line up, but it seems like 2021's been pretty favorable.
2021's been fantastic.
Yeah, man. So we have to keep that going. But no, once again, all you guys, I respect you guys. Love you guys. It's been great chatting with you tonight. Crossfire chat, always on fire. So other than that, yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. And other than that, Tuesday nights with the I'm drawing blanks. The Gaming Perspective podcast. It's getting late, Mooch. The Gaming Perspective
It is late.
podcast,
I kept you guys here way
Tuesday
after the
night
mark.
at 8 o'clock. And on Brat podcast for now.
Oh, wow. That hurts.
Wow.
Brap.
But shout out to Mooch for the great outro. Some podcast leaders don't know how to do outro.
Oh, man. Brap. Brap, you're going to have to do a 20-minute intro on Wednesday. Just for E.
I'm gonna have to give him like a WWE type intro. Rap on
boy.
It'd be great. I can't wait to hear that.
How long have Brap and I been doing this podcast together? Like,
Oh my God, you guys have easily for what? 4 years? I don't know. 3 years? 4 years? 5 years?
No, longer than that.
Is it longer than that?
like 6 years, yeah.
Holy!
Yeah, 6 years,
I don't even know how
yeah.
long I've been doing Crossfire. If you ask me, I don't know. I really
The
don't.
man forgot me twice, man. That was not once, but twice.
Ah,
I'm old.
I'm old.
I've got 4 kids, 6 chickens, and 2 dogs.
Shocked he's not drinking more.
I know.
Poor
I know.
Brap.
My wife's drinking.
We have to get the show over to Optimus Code, man. You keep calling him old, but I don't know.
Shout out to Code OG. Speaking of Brap, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Brap, outstanding to have you here as well, buddy. I gotta be honest, I'm really looking forward to E's entrance on Wednesday now. But nonetheless, besides that, buddy, outstanding to have your
I'm
take.
gonna give a Lord Cognito introduce me.
You have to. You might even have to get Cognito on the show.
Yeah, you might have. I mean, from what I heard, Cog is selling his services.
Ooh,
Tommy's on a world tour right now. We
You might,
keeping it
maybe
all
you
the
get
way
a
real.
family discount. I don't know.
Family discount. That's great.
Hey, Mooch.
yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry. Hey, can I say one thing before we go? If
Absolutely.
you guys haven't checked it out, please go to Level 1 Gamer, their YouTube channel. They just actually had Cognito, Jeff Grubb, and
Yes.
Randolph Thor.
Oh,
on
yeah.
there, and it was a very good podcast from what I was able to catch, man. I'm gonna go back and catch the rest of it tonight. I'm sorry about that, but
Good- no,
that's
good
that's
shout out.
family, dog.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my squad, boy. I love them.
Yeah, that was a great show. Mooch, I have a little bit of a long outro. So
Sure.
just bear with me here. I just want to say something. First of all, great show.
Thank you.
Great panel. Mooch, every week you bring a great diverse panel with different points of view. And that has to be commended because you see it on the Twitters. If you don't agree with me, you're against me, right?
Right.
And it's really weird. I know Sav and I've talked about this. It's weird in the sense, and I've talked about this to death, Cognito. It's like we all love the same thing, and that's gaming. Like
That's
that's the common bond we have. But then somehow we forget that. So
It's true.
it's great that you get these these guests on every week, and they have a variety of opinions. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we may disagree, but at the end of the day, we love gaming.
That's
and
right.
I think people forget that a lot of the times, and I see that in the community where things become personal attacks, and that love for gaming that we all have just goes to the wayside for whatever reason.
right.
So I just want to say thank you for that. And what's
Thank
really cool is that I see One Bad Mother here. I've known this guy for like 19 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we met on Xbox.
This is
Xbox
where you get
Live.
to tell everybody that you were a beta
Xbox
tester.
beta tester. Let them know.
I knew you were missing something in the show, and I couldn't put
say
my finger on it. There it is.
I
I
was
wasn't
Xbox Live
gonna-
beta tester.
No, I wasn't going to say that. It was an Xbox Live beta tester, but yes, but
Actually, the second
to
person
bring that up,
I'm
OBM, I was an Xbox Live beta tester. No, but it's really cool. I think it speaks to the community of gaming and the passion that we have because here's a guy that I met 19 years ago on Xbox Live, and we've come full circle, and here we are on this podcast. And actually, I reconnected with OBM because of the Iron Lords podcast. I saw him in the live chat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And let me tell you something, Sav, the ILP has a really interesting way of bringing people back together. You guys reconnected me and Mooch, and then you reconnected me and OBM. So,
yeah,
that speaks volumes, I think, to the influence that you guys have on the ILP. But
I just want back together. It brought us back together, honestly, because I hadn't really hung out with King and Cog in that way in years. So this is it's so funny because it is just
awesome.
what we did when we were in our 20s. And life changes. You get older, you get married,
you get kids,
and it's just like and to have that little piece of that back for a couple of hours every week. And that's why we love the fact that people see that from us and they gravitate to it. And and a lot of it's thanks to Cog, man. I mean, Mooch talked about how Cog is just kind of like the way he is, where he's always there to sort of hear someone when they need when they need a friend, and that's always been Cog. None of what you see there is an act. None of what you see there is for show. That is who he is. A lot of us, you have to, man. There were like 15, 20 people who used to hang out with us regularly over the years, right? A lot of these guys, you could tell that they came to our group because it was solace from whatever was going on in their real life. Whether it was problems at home, financial problems. There were guys that would come to hang out with us. They had not a dollar in their pocket. We would, pull money together to get food, whatever, stuff like that, even when we were hanging out. A lot of guys would come. They wouldn't smell the best, like whatever the case may be. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And to bring that forward in a way that people gravitate to and sort of get on board with, it was really eye-opening for us. And then that's when when you start growing that community, you're like, oh my God, like people believe in this stuff. And I'm just glad that, again, all of you guys that have come up with us kind of at the same time, guys that have been here even longer, sort of gravitate to that as well. Because I think, everything else is, the console war stuff, I laugh at it, but people do take it seriously. But there are other more serious things going on in our community as gamers that divide us and separate us. And it's just
100%, bro.
If we can focus on the things that we all love, then it just opens it opens the conversation for everything else.
That's right.
And all that other stuff falls to the wayside.
Those are very wise words. Outstanding, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's well said, Sav. But on that note, Mooch, I do want to say one thing real quick before we end the show tonight. Brat Podcast, live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come hang out with me. And more importantly, Eric Jackson.
That's what I was going to say.
At least for
and we got a Brap rant tomorrow with Hogue Law and Mr. Badbit from the Trophy Room Podcast.
Oh, that'll be great.
Kicks off live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So come on, hang out with us tomorrow night. Mooch, always a great show, man. Thank you again, man.
Brap, thank you so much. I do want to give a couple quick shout outs. Xbot448, 9 o'clock. He does have to go. He does have something to do on Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys know that. But check out Xbot448. The next podcast was last night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on his channel. So do check that out every Thursday. And the great Crap Gamer is going to be joining us again next week. He took 2 weeks off. He's entitled. He gets 2 weeks. Everybody gets 2 weeks on their job, right? Everybody gets 2 weeks off. He got 2 weeks off. He used them early in the year. But check out Crap Gamer. It's _Crap Gamer on Twitter. And it's Crap Gamer Reviews on YouTube. Guys, outstanding show. Phenomenal panel. Phenomenal chat. Thank you for the super chats, guys. If you wouldn't mind, please, before you leave, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you would like to, hit the join button. Become part of the Mooch Maniac family members. If that... No more said. I'm going to let you guys go play games, eat dinner, hang out, have a drink, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace out, guys. Good night.